Let's go, drinks on Dusty, let's start the show. Drinks on Dusty, coming in hot, coming in to blow up the spot. The guests be picking, what we be drinking, we don't know what Dusty is thinking. We are here to have a good time, see where the convo may just climb. Sit back, put your drinks up, go on y'all, fill up your cup. Drinks on Dusty, let's go. Come on y'all, start the show. Oh no. Woo!
Loosey-goosey.
All right, here's your motivation. Your name is Rudolph. You're a freak with a red nose and nobody likes you. Then one day, Santa picks you and you save Christmas. No, forget that part. We'll improvise. Just keep it kind of loosey-goosey. You hate Christmas.
Go.
That's so good. Brilliant! You reject your own nose because it represents the glitter of commercialism. Why didn't I think of that? Cut, check the gate. Moving on. It's a kilt, sicko.
That's so good. You're so good at that. All right, everybody. Welcome to the newest episode of Drinks on Dusty. I am your favorite drinking, drunken, douchebag podcast host, Dusty. And today we continue before my 30th birthday episode. This is a special episode. It's the last one before I turn 30, and it'll be my third annual birthday episode. So this is had to have a special guest on. And we're going to continue. We've been talking about my people, my closest people, my best friends, the people that know Dusty before Dusty was Dusty, if you know what I'm saying, okay? And these are some of my closest people in my entire life. On this episode, it's been a while, and I'm so excited to finally get him on. We're throwing it back. We're back on Zoom because this douchebag used to live in New York City. When he went back to Nebraska, making some dreams come true. He got his own house. That he let me fucking sleep on the couch, and I got a bunch of dog hair on my stuff. He is one of my best friends that I met my freshman year of college. We knew each other through theater. He is an incredible, funny person. He is literally probably the other love of my life other than beer. I love him so much. He's, again, one of my best friends. I was up at his wedding. My boy, Wynston Nowak, Wynny. Wynny, welcome to the podcast, man.
We made it.
You made it, son.
Also, the dog hair that you accumulated, that was extra. That's just our little flavor.
It was a fucking buffet on all my stuff is what it was. But I love it. Love the pups. Wynny, how you feeling today?
Really good. Really good. I was excited. I think a little nervous at first. I was like, okay, what are you going to talk about? What are you going to drink? All that. But I'm really excited. It was great having you here a couple weeks ago. But I was the whole time you were here, I was just like, all right, don't talk about this. Don't talk about that. Wait till the podcast. Don't bring this up.
Just
keep it cool.
No interesting conversations.
None. So I just sat there and listened to you guys. And I was like, yeah, that's really great.
Saving all the bullshit for the episode.
Gonna have to just wait until I can talk about it on the podcast.
Well, the goal was for the listeners was when I visited back, I took a vacation to get away from New York for a while. And I obviously saw my best friend Wynny and stayed at his house for the first time. And the goal was for me to bring my podcast gear there and us to do it in person. But I don't fucking trust the airlines because the last time they lost my luggage and these equipment cost a lot of money and I don't want to fucking do it. I was like, this is too much. Don't want to fucking do it. We'll do it on Zoom. Fine. But here you are. I have obviously wanted you on for a long time. Like I said, I've kind of stayed away from my best friends until we get growing and like Dustin gets a little bit more of the, gets a little bit better. And I can understand you being nervous, Wynny, because this is the number 65th ranked podcast in the entire world. So it makes sense that you'd be nervous to be on the podcast, but we're happy to have you. And by we, I mean me. I'm the only one that does this shit. So welcome, buddy.
Well,
I appreciate you.
I'm thrilled to be here. I'm glad that you wanted to have me on. I remember when you started talking about wanting to do this like before you even started it, and you were just like, yeah, I want to do a podcast. This is what I want to do. I'd like to have people on and get them their drink. We'll drink the same thing together. And I think that's just a really great idea. I've enjoyed a lot of your episodes, just like hearing you getting your takes on things, which is really fun.
Which make no sense probably most of the fucking time, but yeah.
At the start, they're great, bro. They're great. By the fourth act of the podcast, it's like, hold on. I've pull over to the side of the road and go,
what did he say?
Where did which red yarn string finds this one, but that's okay. That's
That's what it is. That's the true listeners. If you listen towards the clear end, you're like, oh, he's fucked up now. Might say some good shit. Might say like that made no sense, and that's what the whole point is. It's all about a journey, Wynny.
Yeah, life's about the journey.
You fucking so Wynny came on with his Christmas sweater. We're making this Christmas thing. We'll get into the drink. Already kind of hot in this fucking sweater though, so that was fucking. There's that.
Well, and you had to turn your air off, so here you are.
Yeah, well, fucking, hey. But Wynny, let's start it out. What the fuck are we drinking today on the podcast?
Oh, well, Dustin, I'm glad you asked. See. So my favorite drink is a Moscow Mule. And for the sake of just it's the holiday time, we're doing a cranberry Moscow Mule.
Yes.
With cinnamon and a little bit of lime. What kind of ginger beer did you use, Dustin? I didn't even ask
Okay, so
earlier.
I was looking through I've done Moscow Mule on the podcast before, but it was the virgin kind. Okay. So I think it was virgin kind. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Ginger beer and fucking what, like tonic water? Is that what virgin Moscow Mules
probably.
are?
I mean, ginger beer doesn't have any alcohol in it.
So maybe I just did ginger beer. I don't fucking remember. I remember doing a Moscow Mule virgin style, whatever.
Yeah.
But I got this Fever Tree.
Oh, I've never had that. That's cool.
Never had it either. I remember being like, I can't remember the name of the one that's like pretty famous, or like not famous, but like a well-known ginger beer, but I couldn't find it at the grocery store. But I found these, and like when I searched like best ginger beer for Moscow Mules, this popped up. I was like, all right, it's okay. I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I know I've had a better Moscow Mule, and that could be I'm not making it very well. But I think it's just I don't know if it's the best. What kind of ginger beer do you use?
So my go-to is Cock and Bull.
Which
yeah, so it comes in like a beer size bottle. And it's really good. But I've tried, so like Omaha has a local they do Brickway Brewery. Wow, I'll say that 3 times fast. They do a ginger beer that's really good. Okay. And then Goose Island does a ginger beer that's all right. And then there's this one that's like super cheap and it's like in a gold can. It's trash. Don't get it.
It's trash.
But
I think I saw that one. I almost bought that. I was like, oh, can. I was like, no, I didn't.
But like the Cock and Bull is what they served. Like I can't even remember the first time I ever had. It was definitely somewhere on O Street in Lincoln. Someone was like, I was like, I want something refreshing because I'm not a beer drinker because beer makes my stomach like just pissed. Oh, sure. So I was like, I want something refreshing. I want something that's kind of like got some citrus to it. And I think I want to say my first ever and Moscow Mule was at Barry's was the one that was like backstage, right? Like you could see all the pulleys of the theater and stuff.
I think so.
Or was it Barrymore?
No, Barry's is that rooftop bar.
Okay, so it's not Barry's.
Yeah, it's not Barry's. Yeah,
it would be the Barrymore. I think. I don't know. I'm gonna Google it.
I don't know that
there will be people. I feel like it's called the Barrymore. But anyways, there's a place in Lincoln where like you go into it's like kind of like a loungy
Isn't that the place where we've had friends do like stand up there? Woody's?
Yes. It's called Barrymore's. No. Here it is. Look.
All right.
So like the whole inside looks like, I mean,
it's all Nebraska talk for everybody else.
Yeah. So like it looks like you're backstage of a theater. So you remember
that place actually?
Yeah, it was, and they made me one, and I just remember like we got to there as like a 3rd or 4th stop on everybody just going out. Yeah. And I sat there and like it's really low lighting and it was cold outside. And I just was sitting here drinking this and I went, okay, all right, I see that. And I just, if I have the choice, I always get this.
You do Moscow Mules.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know maybe your drunkest story off of being drinking Moscow Mules? Have you done anything kind of crazy, or has it been? Is it like more of a? Because I can imagine. I mean, I know you as a person, like probably don't get like people aren't like, give me another Moscow Mule, and they're fucking gone. No. You know, like it's definitely more of a chill drink.
Yeah, it's much more like, oh, we sip it. But I can tell you that like I start with Moscow Mules, and if it's a really good Moscow Mule, it leads to drunkenness because it's. Yeah,
it goes right through the body.
And look how big this mug is compared to my head. Do you see this?
That's pretty fucking big.
It's pretty big.
Actually.
But I have one of these, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you want shots? I'm like, sure, I'll take shots. And then it's like, but a normal Moscow Mule, like a copper mug, is only like this big. But you drink it usually out of a copper mug because the ginger beer is infused with it. It like sparkles a little bit more.
Yeah, I've never understood that. Do you know any science? I don't get that at all. People
are
like,
science of it?
Yeah, do you know the science of it? Because I don't understand. People are like,
No,
you gotta
I
do
just
it out of a copper mug. I'm like, I'm doing it out of a fucking wine glass. I don't have a
yeah,
copper mug.
which is fine. I can't remember copper mug and ginger beer. I think it's just that the ginger in it. Why is ginger beer served in a copper mug? Moscow Mule purists know that tradition isn't the only reason you drink from a copper mug. The cold metal insulates the temperature of the chilled ginger beer, keeping the cocktail cool and refreshed. Okay, but you could just use a tumbler. That's a stupid answer.
Yeah, fuck those people. They're just trying to be They're just trying to like be their
Oh,
own
does
thing.
ginger react with copper? Copper also contributes to the influx of degassing carbonation, bubbles fizzing and bursting, that burst aromatic bubbles of refreshing lime and ginger fragrances. So I think it just like adds to the experience. You drink out of a copper mug and it's a little more bubbly. You can smell the stuff a little bit more.
Okay,
But
okay. I'll say this much: that cinnamon's kicking my ass right now. Let me tell you that.
okay, but you're dumping cinnamon
No,
on
I didn't
it.
dump it.
You
I didn't
gotta
dump it.
sprinkle.
I didn't. The holes are big. The holes are big. They fucking come out when they come out. I don't fucking know what to tell you. Okay. Okay. Moscow Mule. So that's like a top favorite drink ever, right? Better be. That's why you come on top Moscow Mules.
It is.
Okay?
Because in Moscow Mules, you can make so a Moscow Mule, a traditional Moscow Mule is ginger beer, vodka, lime, and then anything you might like accent it with. But the cool part about Moscow Mules is that you can make like other versions of the Moscow Mule. So like you can make a mule with like tequila or rum or like a whiskey mule. Like I one time had, I think it was a tequila. It was like tequila and grapefruit. I had that somewhere in White Plains once at a really fancy restaurant, and that shit was popping. Like it was good, but I think it was like a $15 to $20 drink, and I went,
nah,
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for that. But yeah, that's why I love it.
I don't think there's ever going to be a time in my life, unless I'm a billionaire, where like if someone's like, yeah, that drink's $20, I'm like, don't give me that. I don't give a fuck. Why would I pay for that? That's stupid. I don't think there's ever that will never register in my head to pay $20 for a fucking drink. Like I don't ever want to fucking do that.
Oh, ever. I thought, okay, I understand. I thought at first you were like, I would like just give me the drink, but no, 100%, I wouldn't.
It like, doesn't make sense. I don't give a shit. I'm never gonna be that fancy or anything. I don't think there's.
Like maybe if you were like, all right, I'm going out for a celebration, and the person was like, all right, this bottle of champagne, a whole bottle of champagne is like $100 or something.
Yeah,
but like you drink that whole bottle, maybe. But a drink that's $20 or more better help me see Jesus and my dead grandma, or I don't want it.
Like, yeah, fucking. That doesn't appeal. People, if someone invites me to a place like that in New York, I'm like, I don't really feel like I want to go. And it's not that I'm cheap. I just don't give a shit. I don't like, dude, I'll get a fucking Bud Light and have a good fuck time. I don't give a fuck. I don't care for these fancy ass drinks because I'm probably gonna chug it anyway because I don't know how to sip, and because I'm like, all right, we drink, we talk, we're fucking going around, whatever. That's just who I am.
Oh, but for sure, a Moscow Mule is not like, all right, this is the first stop on our bar. Let's pound, right? Like that's definitely not it. It is definitely the drink. So when we're like playing D&D, it's a good one to just sip while you play D&D. If you are like in between and you're like, all right, we're gonna order just a little bit of food at this stop, you can sip a Moscow Mule. But yeah, you're right. I mean, even I mean, martinis, Moscow Mules, anything that requires a mixologist to make it, it can just take some time. You're right. A beer,
I don't care.
or like a rum and Coke, that's really easy to do. Or like a whiskey and Coke, that's my go-to if I was like in a hurry. But you were like, oh, what do you want to sip? And I was like, oh, we're going to sip and share memories. Kind of what I want. And I just love cranberry. So
you love cranberry. Okay. Love that. All right, Wynny. So let's get into who you are a little bit. Wynston Nowak. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do now? Give me a little quick synopsis. What was Winston's journey before we get into our relationship? Who is Wynston Nowak?
That's a good question. I got to work on that with my therapist, but we can do it now. So
Drunk and Dusty has been known to be a therapist, Wynny.
Good.
Not a good one, but something.
Okay. So I was born in Kansas, so I'm a Kansas boy originally, but I didn't live in Kansas for very long. Most of my life was spent in the state of Nebraska. I grew up out in western Nebraska in a little town called Ogallala, where everybody knew everybody. That's where I went to all my school and stuff like that. I did plays, speech, choir, band, all that stuff, all the arts. Played basketball, soccer, baseball for a time. Oh yeah, very sporty. Spice for sure.
Sporty size for sure.
But I graduated from Ogallala and came to Lincoln, where I went to Wesleyan, did the theater program there, finished at Wesleyan, lived in Lincoln for another, I think it had to have been a full year because I would have signed a full year lease.
Yeah.
And then moved out to New York City, out to Tarrytown. Did that for a
Tarrytown,
little
yeah.
bit. Absolutely loved the city, loved the Hudson River Valley and just like being there. I really liked being so close to the city. I could hop on a train and be somewhere in 25, 30 minutes, but
Mhm.
not having to necessarily not be able to take my dog to a park to run around off
Yeah.
leash. So for me, it worked out really well to be in Tarrytown. But like I got there and this is like like I had an existential crisis just because I was just like, I got out there and like Mamma Mia closed right when I was moving out there, and there were a couple other like big name Broadway shows that closed, and I watched these actors who had been employed for years and years and years just
Mhm.
be like, oh, back into the shuffle of auditioning, and I went, I don't know if I can do that. Not that I didn't want to, I just didn't know if my anxiety and just like all of that was going to be able to take that.
Yeah.
So I said, I was like, well, um, my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, Bo, was like,
Shout out.
he also did theater, and I was like, well, the two of us are not going to be able to pursue that, and have to go up, and if we want a family and we want all that. So
Yeah.
I worked a couple jobs out there, and then ultimately got into a really rough situation at with one of my employers, and I just said I got to go back to Lincoln and
Yeah.
finish up. I wanted to be a therapist, and I've always loved psychology. I've always loved the way the brain works, why people do what they do, all that stuff. And it kind of like walked like hand in hand with theater, right? Because what you're doing in theater is like taking on somebody and like putting them on for the show, like, and being that person. So it's just kind of like an extension of that. I didn't want to just put someone on. I wanted to understand them, and I
Yeah.
wanted the people to understand what I was putting on through that. So it kind of like was always in the back of my mind. I almost double majored in musical theater and psychology at Wesleyan, but I didn't end up.
Burden.
Yeah, I
Is a
got,
huge.
I think I needed like 9 to 10 more credits to be able to fully get double major, and I just went no.
Yeah.
Um, so when I moved back to Omaha, I re-enrolled at Bellevue University and just did like an accelerated only psychology based program. So I have I have my bachelor's in musical theater with an emphasis in directing, and I have my bachelor's in psychology. And then when I finished that, COVID shut everything down, and the state of Nebraska actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, we see that you're somebody who just finished your psychology degree. We have a grant through UNMC that will pay for you to become something that's called a PLADAC, which is a
Okay.
provisional licensed alcohol and drug abuse counselor." Um,
Wow.
and they were like, you do this program, we pay for the textbooks, we pay for the courses, you just do it because this like the state needs people to do that. I was like, that's not what I want to do.
Mhm.
At first I was like, I could do it, it's free, but that wasn't necessarily on my radar. I didn't specifically want to like specialize in drug, alcohol, and substance abuse.
Yeah.
um but it kind of just felt like right place, right time, and I didn't want to say no to it because at the end of the day, if I get my provisional license and I can specialize in drugs and alcohol, if I become like a full blown counselor, that's just part of it, right? I can say, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I do all this, the co-occurring, but I can also do substance abuse, which can't hurt. Obviously, it's something that's needed. So that gets me to where I'm at currently, which is I'm a case manager at the Steven Center Hero Program, which is a homeless shelter and rehabilitation in South Omaha. I've been here for 2 years almost, like a year and some, but I started out as just an intern getting my internship hours, and now am a full-time case manager with the intention to re-enroll and get my master's in clinical psych, which will
Yeah.
then allow me to be a full-blown counselor, um, and all of that. So that's
Is there main focus on what you want to counsel? That might be a dumb question, but like, is
no,
there like
yeah.
guidance counselor, life counselor, things like that? Is there something like you're imagining that's the number one goal?
Well, okay. So my initial reason I wanted to become a counselor was because growing up a gay kid in out western Nebraska, I was like, if any adult would have looked at me and said, the feelings you're feeling are not don't make you a freak. They don't make you a bad person. You're just becoming an adult, and you're realizing if any adult could have looked at me at that time and said something like that to me, or like talked me through that, or anything like that, I think my life would have been a little bit different.
Would have maybe helped you, not to put words in your mouth, but maybe help you get through it a little bit more, like whatever, like not feel like an outsider or things of that nature, right?
Yeah, it would have helped with a lot of like the self-doubt and the self-hate and like all the stuff that you cope with, like because you hide it for so much, right? Like there's people who know because like you have mannerisms that are more flamboyant, you don't like the things that some of the quote unquote stereotypical like straight guys would like. But I always said I want to be a counselor for gay kids and their families, because it if a kid is like, I want to come out, but my parents are reacting wrong, just like a couple who's going through like couples counseling, could a family go through counseling on that to be able to still find common ground and love one another? Luckily, that was my main goal when I was younger, that's what I wanted to do. And now we have taken so many steps forward. We got a long way to go, but there isn't necessarily as much of a need for that specific of a counselor, which is a blessing that we don't have to do that.
Yeah, sure.
But like, I think in general, like just like a family counselor would be awesome, just to be like, oh yeah, like something happened and my kid needs to see a therapist. Or I don't know if life coach is necessarily it, because sometimes I get a little too pushy and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, get up and get what
Hey,
you got to
dude,
do
if I'll go
done.
figure it out right now,
Yeah.
it's not that hard, okay?
At work, we joke about like, I kind of want to, as a gay guy, I just want to kind of like open a counseling center that's just like, you come in and I read you for filth. Honey, what are you doing? You look like shit. No wonder you're not getting anything you want, which is not trauma informed at all. It would not work. I would be stripped of my license right away.
It might not work a lot, but it could work for somebody. Like, you're fucking
Yeah.
right. It might hit that one person that's like, you know what? I am fucking filthy. I need to figure this shit out right now.
Yeah. So that, just like a counselor in general, I think helping people with, anxiety, depression, all the things that are like the common, it's so common now, which is good that we're talking about it. So it feels a little more common, because prior to COVID-19, prior to probably even, 2015, we didn't talk about it a lot. Now there's a lot of services. But anxiety, depression, and trauma are just all over the place. And the best thing somebody can do is just talk about it. I mean, your podcast alone is a form of therapy, like talking through things.
I say it all the time.
Yeah. And you got your cliche things like, oh, you just talk about how you feel and like feel your feelings. I mean, that's not the reason they're stereotypical, is because they're true. People who can talk things through and they find the right person to talk to at the right time, it can save their life. It can change their life. So I've been really lucky working at the Stevens Center, because I've gotten to run like men's processing groups and, talk one-on-one with a lot of people who, I mean, Dustin, I've talked to people who have like, they have murder charges, like second-degree murder, assault, people who've been raped, people who have like, I mean, there's a lot
Deep
that goes
shit.
into it, right? It's very, very deep. And to be able to just look at them and be like, your experience is valid and you should talk about it, is super. Like, there's times I'll tell people, I'll look at them and I'll be like, I'm not the person who you probably need to hear this from, but I want you to know I'm sorry that you went through that. I know I wasn't the person that put you through that, but I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. You deserve to be happy.
And sometimes
and to watch
that's
some
what
people
people need.
that. 100%. So
they need to hear that from somebody, and they hadn't heard that. So that's beautiful that you do that.
Yeah, I sat as a little intern, scared shitless in my first men's group full of.
Well, I mean, I can't imagine like if you're there like the first time having to do that kind of counseling or anything. What do I say? Make sure I say the right thing. Like shit, I get nervous interviewing people. Like make sure I don't say anything too fucking stupid. And but like like you there, because everyone's like maybe not at first, but like maybe that feeling, I'm just gonna guess, is like they're all there, Wynny, and they're looking at you like, you're gonna give me the answer. This guy right now, you, Wynston, are giving me the answer of my life. And you're like, and that's to say the right shit.
The pressure is unreal, right? So like I'm sitting there as an intern with 20 dudes. Some of them are like fresh out of jail, prison, institutionalized, and they'll grill you. They were like, are you an addict? And I was like, well, no, I mean, I don't have any substance abuse, and we don't have to tell them that. We don't have to.
I did
But
direct an addict in a show called this. You remember
yeah,
that
but
one?
I was like, I don't have that. No. And they're like, well, how the fuck are you going to help us?
Yeah, they immediately
That
I was
means they're
just
like,
about to
what are you
say,
going to
like,
do?
yeah,
Why are you going to be the one that helps us? And I
yeah,
just looked at him, Dustin, and you know me, this is very, very me. I just said,
yeah,
well, so and so, in a world of people who don't give a fuck if you as an addict live or die, I do. So you can either use me for the next 2 hours while we're in this group, or you can sit there quietly. I don't really care, but that's why we're here.
yeah.
And from that point on, like the shift has just been now, like obviously I've been a case manager for a long time. I'm the senior case manager currently on the team. And so
Wow.
like there's
Shout
just
out.
they do know, yeah, weird flex. But like
No,
they
strong flex. Senior case manager, suck it, everybody else.
yeah, well, my team is great. I love them. We've had a lot of changes, but they're really cool. But like it just now there's just like a trust that you build with them. And there are people that have been super successful, and that's been super cool to see them go out and rebuild their life. And they'll like send an email that's just like things are going good. My wife and I are back together, and we got our kids back, and you got people who have relapsed, and I've seen them time and time again, just coming back through, and that's tough too. But um it is so nice to not get up every day and go to a desk job that like I
Yeah, you're
maybe
getting
wouldn't feel fulfilled
fulfillment.
in.
Yeah,
Yep,
you're getting fulfilled.
exactly.
Look at that. Jenks showing me a fucking that no. Good podcast host. Yeah, you're gonna get some fulfillment from that. True, it's the same as being a teacher, but you're getting that fulfillment just like not like not selfish, like you're like, I held that. That's fucking awesome, man. I'm glad you're doing that. And you're like, yep, that check cleared. Cool. Let's go again, accountant. Like, fuck off. All right, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's fucking amazing, Winnie. And I think that speaks to kind of your personality and like who you are. That's one of the things we'll get into later. But that's fucking beautiful.
yeah, I
I
love it.
have I have a question though. I was curious. So I mean, like, just like how we knew each other. Like we're coming up in theater. I mean, you went through that
Mhm.
whole saga and story, and that sounded like annoying. Like I was like, with a whole fucking saga. Like I didn't mean like that whole bullshit you told me, a whole fucking thing about your life. But like, so was being the theater world, because I know you were more of you're an actor, then started to be a director, and you moved to New York. That's the goal. Did you
Mhm.
have a struggle with? Did you feel like, because you said you've always wanted to be a counselor, so maybe that was always the number one dream, but like it just never fruitioned, and then you're doing the theater world. So do you have this struggle of I've given up on my dream? What the fuck do I do now? Did you have
Uh,
that kind of, if that makes it, like, did you have that kind of
oh yeah, y-
conversation or anything?
for sure. So my dream was always theater. I was going to
Yeah.
Broadway. I was going to be on movies, TV, all that. Um, like, and my heart's still in that, right? Like, if I could go be in a show now, I would, right? I'm probably not a musical. I'm a little rusty. Um,
Yeah, I can't fucking.
and God forbid I try to dance right now.
Yeah,
But
I sprained my ankle falling down fucking steps. I can't fucking go do no tab number. Get the fuck out of here.
but like a stage play, I mean, I miss that. I miss getting to be somebody else. I miss the energy you get from the audience and with a cast. I miss that every day.
Because you're naturally just a creative minded person. Like
Correct.
that's just who you are, and that's
Yep,
always
and
who you're gonna be too.
100%. So to answer your question of did you ever feel like you're giving up your dream? Moving home from New York was one of the hardest things when it comes to that, right?
Yeah,
Because my entire life it was theater, 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 all the way through. I mean, Wesleyan, right? Like I finished
yeah.
Wesleyan and went, all right. Like I had no idea that when we bowed the last time at Zimmer Girls that'd be the last time I was on stage
Isn't that
since,
fucking
right?
crazy?
And it's nuts. Like I have not. Um, I would love to go back and tell that kid to soak that moment up, which is I definitely did because it was the last show of our senior year. Like for me, it was the last show that I was gonna
Yeah,
be in. But like to be able to tell him, hey, listen, you're not gonna do theater for and potentially forever. I have a feeling I'll go back and do it, right? Like at some point,
yeah,
even community theater or whatever. But like I went out to New York and I said, I'm gonna go out there because maybe a theater possibility like will open up. But then I got out there, Dustin, and I didn't audition. I
yeah,
didn't go to auditions. I didn't look at call sheets. I didn't do any of that. I went out there and I worked my day like all day job at Verizon Wireless, which was fine. I got good at it. Selling
yeah.
cell phones to New Yorkers is insane. because
Fucking
New Yorkers
assholes.
are just crazy.
Dicks,
But
they're all
like,
dicks.
again, I learned a lot from that job. Then I went and I started working in the chiropractic office. I learned a lot, got some good friends, got to work close to home, made some decent money. But like, I didn't go do theater. So when I moved home from New York, I just went, are you giving up? And I was like, well, Winston, you never started. You got out there and
Yeah.
you went and spent a shitload of money on seeing theater. I saw your Shakespeare in the Park. You know, I saw some of our friends and
That didn't
stuff.
cost you 1 fucking cent.
You're
Okay?
damn
It
right.
cost you,
You're
it cost
damn
you
right.
1 fucking
All I
cent.
did was had to buy that new umbrella because that shit started raining, and thank God I did.
Don't tell people
But-
that. Everyone, if you that my Shakespeare in the Park had 200,000 people in the fucking audience, there was no rain. It was fucking. Don't talk about my shitty Shakespeare in the Park show.
Okay, well, no one said it was shitty.
Shout
so
out.
what are you putting on to that?
I thought it was.
Do we need to
shitty.
unpack?
I thought it was shitty.
No, it was great. I had a great time, and it was cool because like I was watching one of my best friends do Shakespeare in Central Park. It didn't matter if it rained. It didn't matter if like a fucking halal truck was being pushed down behind. It didn't matter. Like it was cool. And like the fact that you were doing that was awesome. And I loved being there. And I think what I miss most about not being in New York is not being there with all of our friends. But if you look at a lot of our friends, a lot of our friends are not still doing theater. Like, but you
It's
find
a
out
hard
when you
thing.
get there, there's 900 ways to do theater in New York, not
Oh,
just
yeah,
on
it's-
stage, right? Like we have
Oh,
so
yeah.
many friends who do stage management, production. No, but I mean like, so there's so many ways to do theater that aren't just I'm up on stage doing the damn thing. And that's still cool.
Yeah.
When we all set out for New York, we didn't think about that, right? We're like, start spreading the news.
If I'm not Jean Valjean, then I have failed. Yeah. I mean, and there's also like, even if you take it away from theater, it's like it kind of, you triggered this when you talked about how you're getting to do some sort of this is lack of a better term because of my shitty drinking podcast, but like you're doing some sort of creative problem solving type thing in your job where like you get to still stretch that muscle. For example, me being able to teach in this creative atmosphere when I first got here, I still was doing something active where I was using that skill set, not in the skill set of doing a fucking monologue from Shakespeare, but
right.
And I also still had that too. I was still doing all that. And like, even at that job, I have a job where I'm using my brain creatively.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still able to, I'm doing something that I like in that sense. And you're doing that with your job too. And it's just a way of, sometimes in New York, it's fucking difficult. I've said this numerous times on the podcast. It's fucking hard. It's not easy. It's not easy to fucking, I've said numerous times how I have paid for my theater friends' Metro cards because they couldn't do it because they're so dedicated to being in the show, which God bless them. Sometimes you realize I want to fucking have money to do the shit I want to do. And everyone has their opinion on how to get that done, but
exactly. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing is you go out there thinking one thing, and I think that's just life, right? That's like being an adult. You go out there thinking it's gonna be one way and then it's not, but you still thrive because like, don't get me wrong. Anybody who's out there in New York right now or out in LA, because we got friends out there, anywhere, I love seeing all of our friends from school just be successful doing what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we have friends doing some awesome stuff, and I'm proud of all of them who do it.
yeah.
But I'll tell you, and this is just from like, obviously from me to you, like, even if you were here in Omaha, Dustin, or you were back in Grand Island, or you were in Lincoln, or you went to Chicago, like, it's hard everywhere, right?
Yeah,
So
no
like,
matter what, really, it's hard no matter what you fucking do. If you're a goddamn railroad technician or fucking electrician, carpenter, whatever it is, it's fucking hard no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yo, I just hope you're doing good in life, and that's
it.
That's all that fucking matters.
And that's all you can ask for. Like, okay, are my paychecks clearing? Good. Am I able to still balance my, my like my work life and my home life? Am I still doing things that make me happy? Great. Guess what? Let me just tell all the listeners, you're successful. If no one's told you today, that is success, and you should be proud of yourself for that. Point blank. Because that's what life's about. If you successfully got up today, maybe you got one coffee at Starbucks, maybe you just got into work 25 minutes late. It doesn't matter. You did the damn thing. Congratulations. You were successful today.
Boom. And that is what we call a segment called Wynston Knowledge. All right, Winston, I'm gonna fucking pour this entire cinnamon into this fucking drink now. I feel like I have to. Okay, a little tidbit, but see, that doesn't feel like enough. This is a fucking little scratch.
So why don't you do this? Put some in your hand, and then just like
Put some in these gold mines? In these gold mines? What are
I'm
you
not-
talking about? These gold mines? in my
these
hand?
babies right here.
This baby right here, you're telling me to put the cinnamon in these hands? No, sir, no.
You're so stupid. I can't. Oh my god.
Oh God. Okay. That was fucking inspirational. I fucking love that. Thank you for all that. Yeah. I'm the worst podcast host in all time.
What are you?
Okay.
No, you are
So,
not. I said,
Winnie,
hey,
you
look,
will hear
I
this
wore a
entire
Christmas
time.
sweater.
There's not one episode where I don't say I'm the worst. I don't fucking know what I'm doing. I also
Okay,
get that
so
from my
let's
friend
unpack
Pat
that.
McAfee. No,
Let's
I get it
unpack
from my
that.
friend Pat McAfee, or not my friend. Literally, this dude's famous as shit. He's my favorite. Like, he's literally not my friend at all. Don't know. He doesn't know who I am. But he has a show, and it's my favorite sports show. Like, I literally look up to him on how he does his show, how he does it so non-traditionally. He contradicts himself. He's like, dude, people pay me $50 million to do this. Like, I don't fucking know why. This is fucking stupid. Like, I do stupid shit. And that's how I feel sometimes. Like, the fact that anybody listens to me, the fact that at any point my episodes got over this many downloads or whatever, and I'm like, that's wild that anybody listens to me. And no, I don't make any money from this stupid shit. I'm like, it's dumb, but it's fun and I love it. Who gives a fuck?
It's
So-
great. It brings you joy,
Yeah.
which is hilarious.
All
I
fucking
love
matters.
listening to you. It's when you say things like, "Oh yeah, I'm the fucking worst." I don't think so. I think you're killing it. You know, I
think
said,
you're
"Hey,
killing the game,
look,
Dad.
I got my Christmas sweater on." You're like, "Pause, hold, please," and you went and put it on. Listen, you're ready to go with anything. That's great.
Always.
That's
Wonderful. That's just who I am. I'll jump in and do fucking anything.
Motherfucker
Okay.
can't make his bed for the podcast, but he
Okay,
can-
you can't even tell. Okay, you can't even fucking tell that it's not made. Okay, it's just
I just
maybe
was
you
giving you shit.
It isn't made. It isn't made at all. It's not made at all. And the fact if this even gets on YouTube, it's pretty shitty. So
If you don't try to get it on YouTube when I have all these lights,
it'll be on YouTube,
and I
it'll be
made
on
the
YouTube.
I made the bed and everything behind me. Like for all you who are just listening to the sound of our voice, we have
sexy.
we have put some stuff on for you. We are dressed in Christmas sweaters, and
Mine
Dustin's
says Christmas Doge. I got Packer hat on.
it's great. So just see that in your mind, and then you will
Yeah.
be here with us.
And think about in the next hour and a half, I'm gonna be way drunker than I even am now.
Good,
Okay.
as it should be.
All the other bullshit aside now, me and you,
Mm-hmm.
the reason you're on, one of my best friends in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've said, this podcast is about connection, and this whole thing is about me, you being your people. So here's what I want to do: a couple things here. First, I do want to talk about how we met. We'll get into that whole thing because I think it's a funny traditional fucking. What are you laughing? What are you doing?
Nothing. Let's
Don't laugh like that.
go.
Don't interrupt me like that ever again.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. No, yes, Eddie.
I wondered how long it would take us to get into that. 37
Oh
minutes.
God, I actually didn't think about it
37:50?
until that moment right there.
Oh,
Okay, so when I went back home, Wynston is one of my people. Okay, and Wynston he shows me this fucking video, and I will let Wynston take most of it over. But I have watched that video when I just need to laugh my ass off, and I don't know if it's we could talk. We used to watch videos all the time as part of our friendship, Winnie. So, and I don't know if it's just like me, you, Jakey found it funny as fuck.
oh, it kills me.
Could you give a little lowdown on this video?
So
'Cause
it's
my
probably
favorite video
it's
in the world.
legitimately probably one of the first TikToks I ever saw. Like when TikTok took off. And it's just this kid doing this like little sketch with himself, you know, where they like the person pretends to be two people just with a different angle. And he's just like, you know what? They say whatever noise you make when I hit your hip, that's your sex noise. And then he turns the camera to someone. He goes, I don't even know what that. And then he like acts like he hits himself, and he just goes, oh fuck, and like they just sit there and they look at each other for a hot second. And he goes, you're not going to tell anybody about this, are you? And then he goes, I don't even know what I would tell him. And it kills, dude. It kills me.
It
every
kills.
time.
It kills. I don't know if I can tag that video somewhere, but the most underrated part about that video is his aggressive fucking hand. Like that now that whole face, he comes up, it's full, like whatever this is, like it's so aggressive. It almost kills me more than the fucking sound now because he's just like he comes in
It's
and does it.
I don't even
Fucking
know what I would
murders
tell
me.
him.
Murders me. So about us, how we
Yeah.
met. I want to talk about why I would think that I would be considered one of your people too, in the same way that I consider you one of
without a
my
doubt.
people, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
don't want to make assumptions here. I have a grief to air at some point as well, but I want to say, let's start with this. Why am I one of your people?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I know, right? That's good shit. That's some fucking Steve Harvey shit. That's what that is.
Steve Harvey?
He's the only one I could think of.
Does he have a podcast?
No, I think he has a show. I think it's the. I
I
don't
mean, he's
fucking
on
know.
Family Feud, isn't he?
Maybe he
It doesn't
asks
matter.
guys questions.
Doesn't
I don't
matter.
fucking know.
Why are
He
you my
pops up on
person?
TikTok.
Okay. That's a good question. I would say that um when you meet people who are just un unafraid to be loyal to their friends, it's a huge thing, right? Like I consider myself very, very lucky that the core group of people that are in my life, and I think that you've made these similar statements on your podcast. When you find a group of people that, despite arguments, bickering, you know, miscommunications, that are still there when you need them, like, or from miles and miles apart, they're there for you when you need them. That's huge. You've always been that for me. I remember that one, it was our first Thanksgiving in New York, to like you and I.
Yeah, me and you.
And
It
I
was my
was
first
like,
time here. It was yeah.
yeah. And I just said, hey, Dustin, you want to come out to Terrytown because Rachel's got something and I'm just going to be by myself. Do you want to come out? And we made like,
Let me be very clear. There's no we when he did everything. I just showed up and ate the fucking thing.
okay. I'm very grateful that you said that because that is
Well,
accurate.
no,
I had never in
didn't
my
do a
life,
goddamn thing.
I had to FaceTime my mom, Bo's grandma, to tell me how to do the turkey. Like I was basting and I was like, I've never done this before, but Dustin and I are two Nebraska boys out here for our first Thanksgiving alone together. I'm just trying to make us food. And it ended up being fine. We ate and passed
Oh, it
out.
was fucking incredible.
But
I just didn't do anything to help at all. I just showed up and I was like, hey, look at all this shit.
Look at all this food.
This is cool.
So that was but again, like I reached out to you and said, hey, do you want to do this? Like almost kind of knowing that you'd probably say yes. You know what I mean? Like just because like that's kind of our friendship. Is just
it's like if you ask me to do something, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Why the fuck would I not do that?
Yeah. I mean, just like when you're home, you know, there's always like an assumption that if it's possible, we'll see each other. If not, I mean, everybody's busy, but we try to. I mean, when you're here for your birthday.
But like even yeah, I think what's important to that, and I could get to gripes about this, but I don't want to be negative. But like if you were around me, you're like, hey, do you want to go out this Saturday? There's nothing going to be really anything more important than me like, oh, Winston wants to hang out on Saturday. I'm gonna go hang out with Winston.
Right.
Like
right.
the fuck, as opposed to Carrie Underwood asking me to have a makeout session. Like I'm fucking going to hang out with Winston. Like
okay. But if it's Carrie Underwood, babe, you can just say Carrie Underwood wants to make out with me, and I'll be like,
I know. I'm saying like I could clearly go, and then I would say fuck you, Winston. But I'm saying,
oh, okay,
like,
good.
But there's it's one of those things as a friendship, and I know that you talk about the loyalty that I'm really big on or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, if Winston wants to see me, I'm gonna fucking see Winston.
Yeah.
Like you say like a question like, oh, we'll see. I'm like, you better fucking see me when I'm in fucking Nebraska. Like,
right.
There's very few. Like I see my family, I'm gonna see Winston and Jake. That's who I'm gonna fucking see. Yeah. Every time I'm there, right? It's just like established.
Right. Well, and the other thing is just like we've been through a lot of shit as well that will also when you go through things with people, it automatically just like it like firms up that foundation. And we've been
you go through those things and you're still talking to this day.
Yeah.
And you know, we don't have, but it's like you know me from a journey and I know you from a journey and we're still here and we still talk like nothing. Like there's a comfortability. It's like, oh, Winston knows me. And I can be myself completely, and I know that I'm okay. Like it's fun and everything. And
yep, I mean that's exactly it. I thought that when you were here a couple of weeks ago, it just like when we were in the living room, just like sitting there, like you, me, and Jake specifically, but like I mean all of our guy friends, like we could just sit in a room and none of us had to say anything, and then all of a sudden it was like we were comfortable. You know what I mean? And I think I know it applies to a lot of people, but I think us being young men, like there aren't like next to being in a fraternity like there aren't a lot of guys who feel that comfortable just like sitting in a space together, and like I
Yeah.
feel comfortable with you when I'm around you, all that kind of thing. So like that on top of, you know, a lot of amazing positive growth. Plus, I mean, we're not going to sit here and pretend like it's been sunshine and rainbows. We've had arguments, we've had disagreements, but the thing that we always did, unlike some friendships that you watch go to the wayside, we worked through it. Sure,
Yeah.
I think like you kind of talked about it with Jake too. You know, there have been periods in our lives where we didn't talk for several days, couple weeks, whatever it might be. I don't know if you and I ever had like that
I
long a
mean,
period of
that's
time.
dude. There's a specific point that I'd like to make. Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean, bring it up. I'm good with it.
we've so to answer back to like why you're one of my people, Winnie.
Hmm.
There's a few things. It's like there's a thing where I get around you where I get fucking giddy. Like I literally get giddy when I'm around you. I'm like,
Okay.
Winston's here, fucking yes. Like I don't know what it is, and I think I've known like there was this like spark of literally. I mean, we joke about wanting to be married, but like that's probably the
Hmm.
weird like whatever spark. I'm like Winston's here. I'm like fuck yes, I'm gonna hang out with Winston. Like
Right.
I get excited. Like if you were not coming to a thing, I'd be like it's not gonna be as good. Winston's not here. Like there's this thing about like I just wanted to be your friend,
Hmm.
and anytime I'm around you, like we just have fun. It's funny. I can say something, you're gonna laugh, or you're gonna be like it's just a good fucking time.
Yeah.
But another thing is to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't feel like we've ever had a fight or argument more than a day or two. And one of my favorite things about us is you specifically, because you know how stubborn I am, you will call me and be like, no, let's talk about it right now. Like if you know something's bothering,
I wondered if you were
I
going to
think
bring that up.
there's like two instances I can think of, and I'm probably not gonna get them right. But my favorite thing is like it's never festered with us.
Yeah.
Never one time. I think every one of my friends, like you've had like a close friend, like you all have those disagreements. With you for me, like, and I always thought that I was like, oh, he actually fucking cares about losing me as a friend. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
not to make fucking a mountain of a molehill here, but you like didn't you're like no, that's unacceptable, we're gonna talk about this. Like I think our first ever fight, and I honest to God, Winnie, have no fucking idea what it was about, couldn't tell you. I think it
Couldn't
was in
remember.
college or something, but all I remember was you knew I was mad. You said meet me in the like the foyer fucking now, and we sat and we talked about it. She's like
Yeah.
we're not going to be mad at each other. And
Yeah.
then there was another instance where I don't even know, maybe it was a couple days longer, I don't know, but like that we talked on the phone. She's like we're gonna fucking talk this out.
Yeah.
And it was, and I always held that so dear to me because I'm like, to me, it showed me that like Winston doesn't want to lose me as a friend. Like he clearly values our friendship relationship. So
Right.
it's like, how can I never like that's one of the reasons why I feel like you're my people, if that makes sense. I'm just like,
Yeah.
it was always the coolest thing to me because I felt like you refused to let that go. You're like, well,
Which
we're not gonna do this, man. There's
which
not
is
gonna be a time where we're
nuts.
not talking. It
It's
is though.
nut. It's nuts to me because like up until that point, I like there are very few people. I mean, now it's a little more common, but there were like I didn't do that, right? If somebody was mad
Yeah,
at me, I like kind of like closed back into my shell and I was like, well, they're mad at me. I don't know
same.
what I did wrong. Like, and for some reason with you, I was just like I there was one time, and I remember it very specifically. It's probably the same time you were talking about. You sent me a text that was like, no, it's fine, Winston, whatever. Like, I don't care. I'll see you around. And I just remember like Kill Bill sirens going off in my head. Like I put too much into this relationship. And now like current me, like we've been out of have we been out of college 11 years? No, it's been 11 years since our freshman year. I did
Oh,
the math
God, I was
before we
about to
got
say,
on here.
don't tell me that. 11 years? Oh,
11 years since
Jesus,
our
no
yeah.
way.
Well, because it's 2022 and we were the incoming class of 2011. So
Oh God,
11 years ago, we all started at Weston together. And
Jesus
like, but
Christ.
the Kill Bill siren off my head, and at the time, maybe a couple months of a friendship, and I was just like, oh no, this is not how this ends. We did not put this much effort in for this to be how. And so I remember I walked to your door, and I was like,
Yep.
this ain't happening. You can be mad. I'm gonna be mad. We have our opinions, but we're gonna go out here and we're gonna talk about it. So let's talk
Yep.
about it. And I think that we've always just kind of like approached our relationship that way. Um,
Yeah.
which you helped me to grow in that way, right? Because like I can't believe I had the balls to say that to you at the time, but like I from that moment on, that's just how I've kind of like handled my relationships with the people I care about, right? Like
Yeah.
you are 100% okay to feel the way you feel, right? Like if you want to be mad, or I said something and it was not what I should have said, or I came off horribly or looking like an asshole, or I was insensitive at a time, 100% say it. But like the biggest thing that would be so detrimental to you or myself or just anyone, like don't throw in the towel, right?
Yeah.
Like don't, if you have people that you love and you care about, like we have in the past, like you're right. I couldn't tell you what the hell we were fighting about. I couldn't even remember what was up you were upset
Not
about.
one
But
thing, but I just remember that situation. That's what the important part of that was.
yeah,
I don't remember
and,
what the fuck we were fighting about at all.
well, I had gotten to know you a little bit already by then, and I knew that if you sat and stewed in it, it would be something that would eat you up, and you didn't deserve that. Like I literally went to your door expecting you to either yell and scream at me or like hit me if you wanted. I didn't even care. I was just like, I'm not going to let this go via text because that's stupid. Both of us deserve better than that. And then that's just kind of been like where we go. We're pretty open and honest about, hey, listen, this happened. I don't feel great about it. Let's make sure that we talk it through, because neither of us want that. So
Yeah.
that's
It's fucking crazy, man. It's also like there's this weird thing with you. For me, it's like I don't know what I would aggressive, but it's like I don't know what I would do if like there's certain friends, like if they're mad at you, you go, all right, cool, be mad until you're not mad anymore.
right.
I don't know what I would do if I felt like you were mad at me. Like if I knew and if I actively knew you were mad at me,
Right.
I couldn't just sit there and be like, all right, Winston, be pissed. I'd be like, all right, I have to talk to him right now.
Right.
Like that's to me, that's our relationship for me anyway. I'm like, I can't let you be mad at me. I'm like, no, we're gonna talk this out. I'm not gonna. You can be upset. I can understand. I'll take the L. I fucked up, but like, I'm not. I'm gonna do what I need to do to fix it.
Uh-huh.
I'm not
Yeah,
just gonna let it go.
I agree. And as we got older, like I think at first it was it was probably pettiness to be like, no, I'm not going to let you throw away our friendship for this, because I probably felt like I was 100% right in that situation. You were wrong, which is just, that's not realistic. Like everybody has a little
Let me
bit.
show this dumbass motherfucker boy that
Right.
was
But
right.
now, because we made it through that interaction at a young age, we were 20, 21 years old, like to have two people talking to each other that way, like, and we had it out. We said, this is what it was. And you were like, I feel this way. I feel this way. And again, I can't even tell you what it was about, but we discussed it like adults. And we said, this isn't what we're going to, this
quite
in the future isn't how we're going to do it.
Probably the most mature relationship I've ever been a part of in my entire life is with you. Because it's like everything you're saying, we talked about it. We shared about it. We're like, okay, my opinion valid. Your opinion's valid. How did both of us mess up? How do we both fix the situation? If I acted like that with everybody else, yeah, that'd be cool. But
well, I was just gonna say, ultimately that's what you want in your relationships, right? Like it's healthy to say no, like that's and like just like a peek behind my like that's how Bo and I talk about things, right? Like I would say Bo and I have arguments, we have disagreements, but like that's how I as a human being have now just started to approach things. Listen, I can be a petty person, right? Like if something hits me the wrong way and I feel slighted, I know in that moment that my initial go-to reaction is going to be petty, right? I'm going to be like, nope, you know what? Fine. I'll sit here.
bye.
You don't want to give me your time. You don't want to whatever. And then I go, all right. But now, luckily, I think part of it now is maturity and just like education and life experience. I get to sit in that feeling for a hot second. And actually, we use this at work, right, with clients, because a lot of times they have a lot of really bad situations, and you get to sit in your pity pot for 15 minutes. Go feel mad, go feel pissed off, go feel crabby. The world's against you. Everything sucks. Set a timer on your phone for 15 minutes. When that timer goes off, put that shit to bed, because we don't have time for it.
Because being upset about it forever is just gonna, I totally agree with that. I used to take that with like auditions or anything like that. Like, be mad, take the day, be pissed, be fucking upset, but in the end, that negativity holding on to it, it's not going to do anything but just you be mad about it. It won't.
Yeah, the only person that hurts is you, right?
And I have to deal with that sometimes with my stubbornness too, because I'm like, I know that I'm holding on to something where if I just let it go, it's fine.
Right.
I think there's some things where I'm like, dude, like I've already tried. Like I don't want to give it out again or give that energy when that person's not giving that energy back to me. But also, like, if I just hold on to the negativity, I'm like, I don't want. We had that situation with our friend. I'll say Scott's name right here. But like, I tried. I was like, what the fuck am I mad? Like, I'm not gonna hold on to this. I don't give a fuck. I'm done.
Right.
I'm done. Let's
Well,
fucking.
it just like you don't deserve to feel like shit either, right? You don't deserve to think of somebody and always have that negative, like
Yeah.
like a bad taste in your mouth. Like you don't deserve that. He wouldn't deserve that, and not just him. Like any situation, right?
Oh yeah,
Like
anybody. Yeah.
part of working through trauma or bad experiences or misinterpretations or whatever it is that causes a dissonance between people is you felt that way for a reason. It makes sense. It made sense in that moment. And then you sit there and you go, okay, I feel this way. I can either choose to expend my energy trying to repair something or spend my energy being bitter and nasty about it. And that's completely up to you. You get to do whatever you want.
For sure.
I know I have probably exes. I know there are people in my life that I hold some resentments to. And part of, and this is, sorry, I keep going back to therapy, but part of what I do, like part of the 12 steps to get over alcoholism or drug addiction or any sort of resentment, you have to release your resentments because all resentment does is hurt you. That's it. I mean, we've all felt that, right? Like me sitting here being mad about the laundry list of shit I'm mad about. The only person it does like nowadays is hurting me. Why am I thinking about it?
They
like,
don't.
Jesus,
None of them
help
give a
us
fuck.
all.
It's just you.
Exactly. So
puts you in a bad mood, bad place, and you have to deal with it. You alone have to deal with it, and now Bo because he's your husband. Like you have to.
Well,
they have to deal
exactly. Yep. And my wallet because usually I go to Target and I spend too much money, or I go and I get too many Starbucks, right? But yeah, 100%. That, and you just said it. You just said something a minute ago. It was probably like 2 or 3 minutes ago. You said something about energy, right? The other reason you're my people, just to bring it back around, is because without fail, you continually choose when you don't have to give your energy to me. Thus, I want to give it back to you.
Yeah. That's beautiful because it's I can't even top that. It's just you're somebody that I always want to give my energy to. There's nothing I don't want to give. Whenever I'm around you, I'm like, this is you get.
Well, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, I love you, and I tried to give you my hand in marriage, but you were like, no, not up. Now. But
I fucking know. I was like, dicks fucking thing. Okay.
I hefty poured on this one this time.
If you don't hefty pour on Drinks on Dusty, when the fuck do you hefty pour?
Okay, ooh, that was a lot of cinnamon. And I just texted Jake. Jake goes, how's it going? I said, it's really good. Dustin and I are like really having a good time chatting. I said, Dustin's interviewing has gotten like you've improved so much from that first time. And he goes, oh, you must be drunk if you're complimenting Dustin. And I was,
oh, dick, what an asshole. You tell him to fuck off right now.
He says, throwing out Dustin compliments, ? You must be drunk.
Piece of
fucking
shit.
Idiot.
So we talked about being one of each other's people. So let's talk about the first time we ever met.
Yes.
I don't know how much of this do you remember?
Every moment of it.
Every moment of it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to defer to you here. The first time we met, so again, Wynston and I went to college together in Nebraska Wesleyan. As you know, our friend Jake that was just on the podcast, are part of our crew. We're on the same, it's this whole same story, the fact we were on the same floor, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Wynston has a specific story that we talked about on the last couple episodes ago. So, Wynston, I'll give you the floor here. Can you talk about the first time you ever met your great friend, Dusty?
Yes, I can. Because, so here's the thing. There's a 100% chance that the first time we actually saw each other or were in the same space would have been at the all theater meeting.
But the first time I ever went to that, I sat clear away from every theater person.
Yep.
Like I've said before, and I didn't talk to anybody from there.
Right.
And I walked out.
Well, and if you look at it, I wish there was like film footage of it, because like everyone we came to like be friends with eventually, I don't think any of us, because you probably had you sitting off to your side. I probably sat with probably Christian.
Uh-huh.
Just because like I had seen him before and we interviewed the same day. It was probably Christian and Gabby Delano, I would imagine. Yeah. But then like I wasn't sitting with Scott, and then Adam and Stacy were together, probably sitting, the two of them, right? I don't even know if Kelsey Earhart was there. Like everybody, I don't even know if Rachel Pickrell was there, but like we weren't around anybody. And then you fast forward to the end, like when we were finally done, and like those were our people we were always around.
Yeah.
But I don't count that. I count the fire pole night, because that is the first time I heard someone say the name Dustin Sutliff, and I went, well, what's going on? So just gonna give people who are listening. So we lived in a you and Jake did it a little bit. We lived in a dorm room where there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 rooms on each side, and you had a main pod in the center. And that pod was kind of where people hung out. We were on the 3rd floor, I think.
Yeah,
but
3rd floor.
The center pod was kind of like where people hung out. That we had a TV there, all of that. So I obviously, when I went into college, I was not a drinker. I hadn't drank yet, because I was a goody two shoes with a lot of Catholic guilt.
And I was what we would call a professional drinker.
Oh yeah, you could shotgun better than just about anybody I knew. But before I met you, I think you were drunk. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure when we first met, you were absolutely blasted.
Oh yeah, because I remember going to, like, that was when I started to finally go to these dancer parties and all this bullshit. Yeah.
Okay. And I thought so, but I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, Dustin, you were drunk.
Oh, there's no shot I wasn't drunk. Yeah, I was for sure drunk.
Based on what you chose to say is what I think is why I think.
Yeah, I don't think I normally say that shit when I'm completely sober, but
maybe now
with
you're
you
comfortable,
probably,
but then absolutely.
Yeah. At that time, I definitely had the alcohol in my system.
Yeah, so I was sitting there in the 3rd floor pod, just hanging out. I want to say, like, we were watching something on TV or whatever.
Yeah.
And you come in to the 3rd floor pod, and you got like a couple other people with you that I probably to this day wouldn't even be able to tell you who they were.
Yeah,
and you were like, kind of just like looking around, like at everybody, and you walk over and you kind of lean up against the wall, and somebody, whoever was with you, was just like, Dustin, what are you doing? You're just like, I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna pull this fire alarm. And I remember sitting there, and I just like wide-eyed looked over, like, if this kid pulls this fire alarm, it's gonna be loud as fuck. We're gonna have to all evacuate this building. And you're like, I'm gonna pull it. And then a bunch of people are like, no, Dustin, don't. And you're like, no, I'm gonna pull it. And I was like, oh my God. And I thought to myself, I was like, I need to get out of here so I'm not guilty by association, because this is not going to be good. And so I stood up, and you were just like, nah, I'm going to pull it. And then somebody sat you down on the couch, and then some weird shit. I must have gone into our room and then came back out there. And then everybody was talking about just weird, like, icebreaker questions. And then you had to let us know that if you were going to be any animal in the world, you would be a dolphin, because they're the only animal that has sex for pleasure. And then you went and like made the whole motion. And I just went, I will never, ever interact with this human again if I do not have to. And now, cheers, buddy. Here we are.
Cheers to be on the podcast. I do not know if I could even do the dolphin sound or some shit like that. Something like that. But yeah, I think the only thing I remember from that story is at some point, and I only remember because Jake told me that, I was like, if I pull this fire alarm, I'll run so fast they're gonna think that you did it. And then like, not even that fast around.
I'll bet that's very true.
But I think that is a wild thing to meet such a douchebag. And then the worst thing right now, Winnie, is like, I can't remember the moment where we started like hanging.
I was gonna ask you if you remember, because I distinctly remember that being like the first time I met you and like was able to put your face to Dustin Sutliff and like that. But in terms of the first time we hung out, I would almost imagine it was probably just like it started as us sitting at the same lunch table, because like you, Jake, and Christian, the broskies, like you guys were doing your thing, and I like I wasn't super close with Jake yet either. Jake and I were like close, right? Probably towards Christmas of our freshman year, but like we aren't like we are now, like right away. And he hung out with you and Christian a lot. Like you guys drank like a lot, and I just didn't really do that.
Yeah, it was
at
weird.
the
You
beginning.
being introduced, yeah, not introduced, that's not a word, but like added into the group was an interesting thing because of everything that you were going through too, which I know
Mhm.
probably had a part of it.
Right.
And then but like it just like slowly became certain things where I was friends with Jake and then
Yeah.
you were roommates with Jake, so then we would come in and talk and then we would just start fucking around watching the same shows or playing the
Yeah.
same video games, fucking Batman or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, I was. Yep.
And then it just builds. But like I feel bad that I can't remember those. Like I don't feel bad in the sense of like I don't know if anyone remembers those things, but I
Right.
wish I could have a turn like what was the moment of us becoming such good or like why we kept talking to each other. And then, like right now it seems like it's crazy that we wouldn't be best friends. But at some
Right.
point we didn't even know who each other fucking were. And now we're so close now. And like trying to remember that moment that connected us and everything. But
If
I do know that moment of being like, that's the first time I met this fucking douchebag, and it's wild to me that you still talk to him. Do you have a favorite Dusty and Winnie moment? I put this on the spot because I might freeze here because I know the fire alarm is a big thing.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of what I would say. I have an idea, but I didn't know if you did. And again, if you don't have a good one, Winnie, it's fine. We'll cut it out. I just was
favorite.
curious if you have like a good top Dusty Winnie
Oh,
moment.
I know one of the top ones for me, and that was when I
Okay.
took you to the ER when you busted your face open. When you fell on that ice, and because I drove us, and I know you and Jake kind of already covered the story, but like I by that point, by the time you fell on the ice, we were already established friends. So that would have been like February ish. So
Yeah.
between September and February, like we officially like did become friends. And maybe it was well, and you were in the Christmas picture that December. You were in that first one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we would have been friends by then. So
I
it
was
probably
longing
didn't
for
take
friends at that point. Yeah.
it probably didn't take us long. It was probably the month of September into October, probably going to a couple bear pit parties and just like hanging out. But I will never forget taking him to the ER because like that was nuts. Like I watched you fall. I walked in and I remember Scott and I and Christian
I
walked in
saw
and I
that
said,
scar right above my eye.
right
Like,
above your eye. I'll bet because I'll never forget. You fell and your head hit the ice first, and you kind of like your head like did one of
let's
these. And
recap here. We're literally going. So at the theater campus, there was a place called the Studio, and it was off of the theater campus. So a lot of theater classes, especially first years, had to do acting classes there. So we're
Mhm.
traveling. It was winter. There was like snow. For some reason, like literally all of us could have just walked around this thing and went in there. But
Could have.
like we all took one at a time, jumping over and landing. Now, to give myself a little credit, I was the most athletic person in this group.
Oh,
Everybody went
by
before.
by far, the person who shouldn't have eaten shit the most would have been you. And like, because the rest of us penguin walked across it. Dustin Sutliff just
It slipped, fell, face forward, boom, blood
and
everywhere.
Dustin, it's probably because of the blood that like it's seared in my mind. I remember you went down and I like shuffled over and you looked up and like obviously part of it was because it was the first class of the day. We all got up with about 10 minutes to get down there, which was stupid. And so we were rushing and you looked up and I remember the blood like a movie just start to go down over your face and I went, "Oh God." Like and so
Death has come early this year, okay?
I partially went into the studio to tell Eric, "Hi, Dustin just fell. He's got blood coming down his face." But I was like, also, I need to get paper towels. This kid can push it up against his eye, and I'm going to take him to the ER. And Eric was like, "Okay." And then for some reason, Christian decided he needed to go. Nellis
Like
decided
a
he
group
needed to go. Like, I swear to God,
that many of you need to
Eric
go
Little
to
was
this.
probably like, "You guys are idiots." But like, I remember I had. And it was probably just because I came in there with such like an intention. I was just like, Dustin fell. He's bleeding. I'm grabbing paper towels. I'm taking him to the ER. And he's like, okay. And I was like, okay. And then like we ran, right? And then we met up with Jake, who had nothing going on and could have easily been the one to take you so the rest of us could go to class. I said, hey, Dustin fell. We're taking him to the ER.
Get in.
The car, and we all fucking drive to the ER.
Just drive there together.
And like, of course, we're college freshmen. I'm like, I don't even know. Do you go to the nearest hospital? Do you ask Siri where the nearest? Like, what do we do? And Siri was relatively new at that point too. And I just was like, we're just gonna go to the ER. So I took you to that ER. There was snow everywhere. It was hard to drive. My car did not have good tread. And I was like, I'm gonna kill all of us. Dustin's bleeding out in here. And then we get there, we get you through, and they say one person go with you. And I was like, I'll go with him. And then Christian,
like, clear Wynny's gonna be the one to go through.
And then Christian, Jake, and Nellis decided they're gonna go get food because they were hungry. And so I don't know why I ever did this. I trusted them with my car. And then you and I sat there, and I remember they'd already give you some painkillers. They had like put the little thing on there, and you were just like you had your arms crossed across your chest, and you were just kind of like laying there, and you looked over at me, and you started giving me the like the speech that they give in Spartacus of like, take care of the family, blah, blah, like you're going to die. And I went, this goofy ass kid is just like too much for me, and I'm glad that I'm here with him. And we laughed and joked, and like they wouldn't let the other guys come in, and then Scott's ass shows up after class gets over and just walks in.
Walks right in,
full intention, head down.
Hey buddy, how are you doing?
Dustin Sutliff? Okay, I'm going with him.
I'm dying right now.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay.
So I would say for me, that was probably one of the first best moments. We've obviously had a lot. Like we've
had a shit ton.
Like I think that Thanksgiving in Terrytown was awesome.
My thing here is I got two of them. Now, one of them is not necessarily a moment.
Okay.
The first one I want to say, because the second one will be a little bit more serious, I guess, maybe. But the first one is I love drunk Wynny. Wynny is different than me. Wynny will not drink as much as I do, not on a regular basis. Drunk Wynny is a very special thing. Wynston will drink, he'll be with around everybody, but when Wynny decides to go to the next level, next level drunky, it's my favorite thing. He's open, he doesn't give a fuck. He's not the dad today. He's not going to be the dad, which we'll get into later, but like he's just going off. And it's not a specific, I can't even tell you a specific memory, but it's just numerous times where I've seen like Wynny decides to be fucked up and I go, let's fucking go. And I put the car seat on, or I put the seat belt on. And I'm like, I'm here for the fucking ride. When I know those nights are happening, because I do think, I don't know if you calculate them, but they're far and few in between where you really let loose. Yeah. We all know I let loose. I'm like, all right, let's go. We're drunk. Let's have a good time. Wynny, when he decides that night is the night, I'm like, I'll be out here till 6 a.m. I will be here until the fucking wheels fall off.
That's
because
true.
It is so funny because he's so like, when he's already fun, but when he gets to the drunken stage, he's just the best time to be around.
I lose my filter entirely.
Yeah, your filter's gone, and it's my favorite fucking thing in the world because you just completely let loose. You're not as conservative anymore, and it's my favorite thing. And that's just like a memory that I just love about you. When you let drunk Wynny come to play, I'm like, let's fucking go to the fucking playground, all right? And we're gonna be there all night long. So that's just an overall thing that I fucking love about you. What triggers drunk Wynny?
Oh God, that's a loaded question. It depends. So every now and again, I will get to the point where I'm like you just said, I very much am somebody who I don't drink a lot, and that's probably because it does hurt my stomach, but also I absolutely detest being hungover, and I also am a control freak as a type A Virgo. Like I do not like being out of control. Yeah. And so being drunk or tipsy, I like being tipsy. It's very, very fun because then you get giggly. You get to just you think things are much funnier than they are. But like true full blown drunk as hell. It usually is, we haven't done it in a while. I've held back a lot. I've been anxious, or I'm done self-monitoring or editing, and I just want to have a good time with my friends. And it does happen. For Jake's birthday party a couple weekends ago, I got fucked up.
I had the feeling that you did, and I was like, I would give anything to be there right now. I would have flown back for that party because I want drunk Wynny in my life.
and well, it also if I have a good drink, if I have a drink that doesn't upset my stomach, which is why I keep hitting this mic. I need to stop gesturing so hard. But when I find a drink that I really like that doesn't upset my stomach, it'll sneak up on me. Like right now, I feel a little like in my forehead and my cheeks, so like I can tell that this heavier pour is gonna do the thing. But
Do the damn thing.
for Jake's party, I tried that salted caramel knuckle noggin whiskey. So it's
Bet.
salted caramel whiskey, and I was pouring it into apple
You had
cider.
that shit from Crown Royal. They have that shit. It's fucking dope.
It's yeah, and Crown Apple, like, bye, it's done. I love it.
Dunskies.
But
Dunskies.
when I drink stuff that goes down easy, I'm done. Like we're in trouble. So like we finished a year-long campaign of the Curse of Strahd for D&D, and I won't lie to you. I told everybody who played, I don't want to say obliterated because we ended everything very nicely.
But you were obliterated.
But I was getting so anxious because I thought they were all going to die, and I knew what they still had to do left, and I knew that there was some pressure to like finish it well, and we'd been playing for almost 48 hours, and I drank wine, we had taken shots, and I remember being very, very, very messed up and still doing D&D like that like we were just making stuff. Scott and I had an interaction as like two different characters, and like we both had tears in our eyes, and like I enjoy being drunk. I do not like what happened at your birthday 5 years ago because I almost died. But like again, there is a codependent side of me that's like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it the best I can. And so thank God I'm not an alcoholic, because I think I have everything that would let me be, right? Because I have to be the best at what I do. So if I'm going to be the best at what I do, I'm going to get absolutely obliterated. Luckily, I don't have that because of my upset stomach so much all the time. But that time at your birthday, I showed up later than all of you.
Yeah, we were already there.
And I said to Bo, I said, I'm not going to be the only sober one here. I want to catch up. And then it was just like shots, drinks, this kind of liquor, this kind of booze. Like, I mean, it was just like all these mixed things. And then
it's the worst time because, like, you know, there was a mix of people that hadn't seen me for years. Like, I was flying back from New York, and then it was just like drinks. And then the funniest thing to me, though, is that the refusal of, because I remember Jake and I got the hotel room, and you just refusing to just stay there.
No, I couldn't.
I was like, why can't Jake, like, Wynny, just stay at the hotel? It's fine. Like, what? It's good. Just stay here. Like, don't go home. Like, just stay here.
It's because I knew that I was driving back home for Christmas Eve the next day, because it was on your birthday. We did it on your birthday.
Yeah, shitty thing having a birthday on the 23rd. Yeah, it's the worst.
Well, it's not even that it's shitty. It's just like we did it on the 23rd, and my family was living back in Ogallala, and the Christmas was Christmas Eve in Hershey, which is 4-5 hours back home. And I had told my parents that I would get up and I would go first thing on the 24th so I could be there for Christmas Eve. And so I said, I can't stay here with you guys. I have to make sure I can be able to drive out tomorrow, because I have to be at Christmas Eve. And I don't know why that thought was so in my head that night, but I just like okay, listeners, I had alcohol poisoning. Let's just say what it was. I was probably a drink away from having to have my stomach pumped. Like, no shit.
Don't you put that on me, Winston.
I'm not putting it on you.
Don't put that bullshit on me.
That's where I was.
He chose to drink what he drank, okay?
100%. As an adult.
It was my birthday. I
chose to not drink responsibly. You're 100% right. And then we got messed up. And like, you guys were like, yeah, we're good. We're just going to go to sleep. We raided the vending machine, and I'm sitting there throwing up
spent a lot of money
on the toilet
that day.
Like, wow, it was awful.
Snacks on snacks on snacks on snacks on snacks
on snack. Yeah, it was nuts. But like in college, it was really fun because when I knew, and this is part of it, I think I will let myself get drunk if I know that somebody else has made the plan for me so that I'm okay. So like, if Bo looks at me and he says, I will drive tonight, I usually will let myself get pretty messed up. Right. If I know that,
yeah, in college we didn't have to drive. We go.
It was
to a
great.
house party and
so we got drunk a lot.
Home.
That's what I tell my friends now who like don't really know me as somebody who drinks a lot. And I was like, in college we did drink, and we drank a decent amount, but it's because we didn't have to drive very far. We walked most of the places, and so like it wasn't wasn't an issue. And I even drank. I would say when I came in to see you in New York a couple times, we got pretty blitzed too. But like it was because public transit.
Yeah, because I don't have to drive home.
Yeah. So, when I know that there is going to be a plan, I'll let go. It's when I don't think that there's going to be a plan that I panic.
I wanted to get into the second reason when we were talking about favorite memories. Okay. So one of my favorite memories of you is like I said before, it's a little bit more serious.
Okay.
But you ended up changing my perception a lot. So one of my favorite stories about you that I would like to share is the fact of you helped change my perception a little bit on how I speak. And when I say this, I mean when it goes to not understanding what I'm saying and just saying something and not understanding the meaning behind it. So one of my favorite memories about you is you ended up being the first person, like the person that got me to stop saying the F word.
Right.
That is used for homosexuals. I literally don't like saying it at all anymore.
Yeah.
And I used to say it, as you may remember back in the day, I would say it like I was saying the word yeah. Like it was just part of my speak. I said it nonstop. There was I didn't know what it was literally like almost like a filler word for me in a certain way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite memories from you is you were the one that got me to like sit me down to talk me through not saying that and what it means. You were one of my first. So you were one of the, so Wynston, you were one of the first people that I was very close to that was gay.
Mm-hmm.
I've had uncles, I've had friends, or like, friends where I'm like, yeah, you're gay. Like, never had a problem with it, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you were one of the first people that I was really close to. And one of my favorite stories, I remember one time you pulling me to the side and being like, hey, can I talk to you? And you to tell me, when you say this word, it makes me feel a certain way. It hurts me and all this stuff.
Okay.
And I remember this whole that conversation being like, oh shit. And I just say it like I don't even know what it means. Like I just throw it out there nonstop.
Okay. Yeah.
And you were the first person to make me be like, oh my God, I need to understanding what I'm saying could hurt somebody and being a little bit more cognizant of the words I'm using and all this kinds of stuff. And that's one of my favorite things, because now I'm like at the point where I won't tolerate it. I remember being in a fight in college about someone saying that to you. I remember being like, I will fucking murder you right now. Like not murder, but like I will fucking, for them to talk about you that way, for them to say anything about any of my gay friends.
Right.
I remember now I'm at the point where like if I hear that word, I'm like, I'm gonna fucking end you.
Right.
And I just remember that, and it was such a powerful moment to me to help reconstruct the way I thought, the way I was grown up, to where like it was just thrown around, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you helped me rethink or understand the words that I'm using.
Right. So like I love that that's something I don't remember that like 100%. I have a couple of friends who I had a similar conversation with, like Bo's best friend Chris, Bo and I's friends Chris. He says that I like jumped on his ass for saying it once too, and I just like I don't necessarily remember. Yeah, like he used to say it kind of like you did, like in the chat, or like he, like a lot of people would say that's gay, right? Like that was just the thing to do. And so I know that I had conversations like that with people. I don't remember this specific one with you. I remember that you did used to say it, and I remember that I know that I talked to you about it, but I don't remember that specific situation. But
well, I don't even know if I could remember the exact words you used, but I just remember you telling me every time you say that word, I get uncomfortable and I feel slighted, like you don't care about me.
Right.
And I remember that
I believe
being
I
kind
said
of the
that
synopsis of that, and me being like, oh, he thinks that I don't care about him. I'm like, I care about you. I love you. Like, why would I? Okay, so if I say this, I'm not going to fucking say this if it hurts somebody that I love. Right. So I just remember that being a really, like, it's something that's always stuck with me, because I remember like even like I live with gay roommates, and they'll say that word. I'm like, I can't and won't say that.
Right.
because of that conversation I had with you. I was like,
Right.
I don't want to say something that's going to hurt somebody like that I
Well,
care about. I remember that
I'm
just being a prominent thing in my life to rethink the way to reconfigure how I think because of how I was growing up, to where my dad will say it all the fucking time and has
right.
no understanding of that. And like, I could have just gone that way of my dad and been like, I'll fucking say that. I don't give a fuck. But
Right.
my head was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then it really changed the way I like thought about things and spoke about things.
Right. Well, and that's I probably said, because my go-to when I'm talking about this, right, is that like when I was growing up and I realized that I was gay and that like there was something different about me and I went through that whole process, other people told me I was gay before I knew what that meant. Does that make sense? And they used the F word they were like, "Oh, you're one of those little F words," right? Like, and like I didn't know what it means, so I wasn't offended at the time, right? People would say, "Oh, you're gay," and at first I didn't even know what that meant, right? But other people told
Yeah.
me what I was before I myself knew, which anybody who doesn't have to experience that in their life, like I envy them, because that was just like a wild, out of body, like forces you to grow up type of thing. Um, to have someone give you your label. Now, were they
Yeah.
correct? Yes, I am. I'm a homosexual male. I am happily married to my husband. I've come to a lot of terms with who I am, and that the way I was forced to come out and the way that that all went down would never be how I would want it to be. But what they were ultimately telling me was true. It just wasn't their business to say, right? So I wrote an essay our freshman year of college about the F word and what it meant, right? And the hatred that was behind it and the way that it had become common slang. And so it does not surprise me that I had that conversation with you, because like you said, like a while ago, I was going through a lot when I got to college, right? Because my parents had told me, don't tell people you're gay.
Yeah.
Don't flaunt around like your sexuality and stuff, because we don't want anything to happen to you, right? Now, I think part of that was them trying to protect me and part of them trying to protect themselves, right? And they were just doing what they thought in that time was the right way to do it. And so I had to make that decision when I got to college. Do I want to trust people with who I really am? And I think that's probably why we weren't instantaneous friends like some of you guys were, was because I held a lot back, because I was in a relationship, and that was like my first real relationship. I didn't want
Yeah.
to share it a lot, and I was holding it back. And I remember Jake tells the story much better. I remember the story of all of you guys finding out that I was gay before I told you I was gay, because of the
Yeah.
book or something that I had on my shelf, and Greg Ward said something about it. But
I just remember, I don't know if I remember the story. All I remember about that was it was we all just like kind of thought it was a known thing, and then being known
right,
like, oh, he doesn't want his parents. I just remember you like, oh, and he doesn't want us, his parents don't want us to know. I'm like, we don't give a
right,
fuck. Like, we just want him to be happy. We don't give a shit. Like, he's our
yeah, but
friend. Like, he's Winston. Like, we don't give a fuck what he does. We just
right.
want him to be happy.
Well, and I don't. It's not even like you need to cut this out, because truthfully, your guys' acceptance, and I don't talk about this a lot, and like I know that a lot of your episodes are really like lighthearted and funny, but like your guys' acceptance saved my life, right? Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I'm at now in the positive mind space. I wouldn't have been able to date the way I dated. I wouldn't have been able to felt supported in exploring who I was and how I felt about things without a group of people that made me feel safe. So
Yeah.
like you are 100% right. I did not want my parents to know that you guys knew, but then like we let that go real quick. We were like, we don't even care. We don't even care anymore. You know what I mean? Because like
Mm-hmm.
what became of my life was that the real me was at college, and the version of me that like protected himself and his family and the other people was the one that I took home with me all the time. And like on Time Hop, when I see
It's like a
my tweet,
double identity in a certain
yep,
senses, right?
it's 100% what it is. You create an identity that's going to protect you and be there so that you can pass, right? You create this straight
You
passing
can get through the
persona.
motions,
Yep.
everything. Yeah.
And so like but what happens is you do that kind of stuff, and in the moment you're like, yeah, I'm just doing what I have to do to survive, right? And that's what you're doing. You're surviving. And then now, as a 30-year-old male, I look back and I'm just like, God, I did so much negative self-talk. Like I created so much internalized homophobia trying to tell myself that in order to be this, I had to do this. I mean, like, it's horrible. And
Yeah.
again, it's super important that if you know somebody or who identifies as queer, non-binary, trans, gay, lesbian, bisexual, whatever, if they're a member of the LGBT community, the best thing you can do is let them know that you're a safe space, because that's what you all did, and that's what saved my life, right? When I had a safe space where I spent 90% of my year, right? Because I only went home after that point for the 3 months of summer.
Yeah, and you spend most of your time with those
What
same
happened?
people every day.
The real me came forward,
Yeah,
and grew, developed, and flourished. And it was the thing that allowed me to be who I am now. Now, I can say, you know, my parents are in a much better place. My dad and I we go through some stuff. My mom and I still have moments where I can see that she's working through it. But we're in a much better place, and it's because of the bravery and the strength that you guys as my friends gave me in that time, right? Had you guys reacted in a bad way, like if I would have come to you and Dustin, and I would have said, hey, listen, as like one of the most like masculine of my best friends, when you say the F word, it hurts me, and it takes me back to a place of where those people use that word to force me to be something, or to like intimidate me. You just saying that like it doesn't mean anything, you're just pushing me farther away, and you're making me feel like I've allowed a bully into my inner circle, right? And the fact that you didn't react in a way that was like, well, listen, man, like, fuck you, I'm gonna say what I want to say, like the fact that you didn't go that direction, and you said, oh my God, I do care about you, and I don't want you to feel this way, again, helped me to be able to add trust to straight men in general and other people, and like let people in to my circle. So like obviously you, Jake, Adam, Scott, Nick Ellis, like you all, like you guys were like my core group of dudes, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And like as
That's
of
crazy, man.
November 11th, right, you all identify as straight males, so you do you, boys. But like the fact that you all accepted me, like you were in a frat. Scott rushed a bunch of frats, didn't stay in them. Adam was in a frat. I had my own frat, and it was you guys. I didn't need to be in a fraternity. I had you, right?
That's crazy, because you think about that. I'm trying to think about it from your lens in that moment, and you being like, oh, these, like you said, like these straight guys that could have just been like, fuck you, man, fucking let me be all like girl vagina, fucking, and not allowing you to be you. That's fuck.
Well, and you could have. I mean, like there was nothing Wynston was going to do.
But the
that
fact
moment.
that allowed you to change the perception and be like, oh, there's other people out there that are straight that will accept me, which is crazy to me that people even think that way, you know. But like, I guess I never thought of it
sucks
that
that people
way.
think about. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And if you think where we were, so you look at freshman year, I had that conversation with you, and then you fast forward 4 years to our senior year when Bo and I left that party, that Christmas party, because those guys were being super homophobic.
Yeah. About to,
you know, well, right. Like, but you, Jake, Scott, Adam, like you all came to my aid, right? I remember, like that's a core memory for me, because to me it was just normal, right? Like Bo and I went, oh, those guys are clearly homophobic. There's like, I can tell that they are escalating, and that they are getting more and more mad, or like our presence is upsetting them, and we don't, like we're always watching out, right? Like we're always watching to make sure we stay safe. I said, you know what, babe, let's just go. We'll get a ride back, and we'll go back to our apartment, and we'll watch a movie, or we'll just hang out, right? And I remember doing that, and I remember seeing the heartbreak and the sadness on like your guys' faces, because you didn't want us to leave. But then ultimately we did leave, and I like my core memory is you guys came back, and we all had a good cry about it, right? Like we all were like real fucked up about it, because I'm not saying it was the first time for all of you, but it was a very real moment where you guys kind of saw what it was like. And
not like you can hear about it, but like you see it a little bit more first. I'm like, like right in the face. You're like, oh fuck, this is what he's. God, that makes me want to kill this motherfucker so bad.
Yeah, but here's the thing: they could be in a completely different
like,
spot now. Yeah,
they could be, for sure. But like,
but
it's frustrating.
They don't have to be.
That's what you do. That's what you did on a regular basis and we didn't see it firsthand. You hear about it. It's one
Correct.
thing to hear about it and hear what you're going through. Like, no, that's not going to happen. And then you see it happening. Like, are you like,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah,
I'm sorry that you ever have to do that. It's
it's hard because I have to deprogram myself a lot, right? Like, so I grew up in a small town. Bo grew up in Omaha, and so Bo is a little bit more flamboyant than me. He's a little more open about himself. He very much is the kind that's like, oh, you got a problem with me? Fuck you, right? Where I'm the opposite
Yeah.
side of it, and I'm a little more apologetic. I'm like, sorry if who I am and what I'm doing offends you, right? And that's like, fuck that. That's the wrong idea to have. Like, I deserve every right to exist and flourish and be happy as anybody else. And so,
Yeah.
as I unprogram that side of my brain of I have something to apologize for or that I shouldn't shove it in people's faces, I'm like, you have every right to live your life just like anyone else. But I can tell you that like your guys' friendship in college started that, right? Up until college, a lot of my friends, a lot of my best friends were girls, right? Sam and Jamie, Rachel, like because they were loving and accepting. The guys I was talking to, like my guy friends, it was not a good situation, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't react the same way you did because we were children, right? When I told them I'm gay, they got very homophobic. They were like, they didn't like it. But as children, you don't have your mental capacity is like messed up, anyways.
Yeah.
So for you guys to be adults like me and go, oh, we should do better, it challenged me to do better too, because like it almost gave me the hope that I should talk to more people about being open, right? To not be scared to have those hard conversations. And ultimately that's what it did, like I talked about it a little bit at my wedding. I like took the mic there at the end and I just said like, and I posted that status the night before the wedding and I just said like, a lot of people want to be able to time travel, to be able to go to the future and like see what it's gonna be like and go back in time and meet people that are dead. I would love to go back and tell the young version of me that like you're gonna be okay. You know what I mean? And like that's what that post was for me. I posted that picture of a younger version of myself and I just said, you're about to go through some of the hardest shit in your entire life. And the people you're going to meet and what they're going to mean to you, how they're going to treat you, and the love that they're going to give you is something that you cannot even possibly like fathom in your mind. You just can't. And it's going to be the best. It's going to be the worst at times too, right? Like, I know you and I have kind of like briefly talked about it, but like that summer between my freshman and sophomore year, I was suicidal because I didn't think because I had gone from being my out and proud self with all of you back home, closeted,
Now you had to
much,
conceal it
yeah,
again.
and then I had that breakup. It was my first boyfriend and I we broke up. It was really messy, and I was like, I should have just stayed in Lincoln with my people to be myself. And so like it was really dark. I had a lot of anxiety, I had a lot of depression, and I'm so thankful I'm on this side of it, right? But like
Yeah.
to go back and let that individual know you're going to be all right. Listen, we're going to do the heavy lifting and we're going to get there. And it's just, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy
It's
because like my struggle in what I did was minimal to what some other people struggle with, right? Like I'm
yeah.
lucky, but it was still hard. And
But I just remember, I mean, yeah, everything you're saying, it's I just fuck, man. I remember that speech you gave at your wedding. Like, I mean, we talked about it with Jake a bit, but I just remember like it was the most realization, like this huge realization of like, man, my one of my favorite people in the world, like one of my favorite people in the world went through this and all they wanted to do was have a wedding to express their love for their
yeah,
person, and that it was a struggle to be able to do that, to where if I wanted to do that I could do that with ease and
yeah,
not deal with that. But one of my closest friends, one of my best friends, had to struggle to get that to what would have been easy for me. Was like
yeah,
heartbreaking but powerful, because I'm
yeah,
like, this dude is stronger than I could ever hope to be. Like he did that, and your speech was fucking beautiful and heartbreaking and so strong. And
yeah,
heartbreaking in the sense of being like, it is insane that that's even a thing, but yet you still did that. And it's the most it was so fucking uplifting though too, to watch you do that. And like, this dude's a badass. This dude is a badass because fuck all you bullshit naysayers, and he
Yeah.
still did it with everything you went through, and you still fucking did it.
Yeah. And
You're a strong motherfucker, Wynny.
thank you. I there was some liquid courage that definitely got me where I was, and I was obviously riding the high.
Was
of
it
like,
Moscow Mule? Was it Moscow Mule? So is that what it was?
I definitely think Moscow Mules were one of the signature drinks because they asked us what Bo and I's favorite drinks were, so I think they were definitely doing that.
At
But
some point, yeah.
there was some liquid courage there, and like when I tell you, I
Dude,
know
Wynny,
that
it
stuff
looked
went
like you
wrong and-
rehearsed that speech. Like that's how
No,
good it was. I don't know if
I-
you, that's what's
to-
great because I know you didn't. And I was
No,
like,
to-
I remember sitting there by Jake and everybody. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? This dude is a better actor performer than fucking all of us. Like, this is insane how well in thought. That's another jealousy factor I have of you. Is like you can so eloquently speak about fucking any topic and without missing a beat, and it's fucking gorgeous. And then the fact that you did something that's so emotional, so close to heart, and you still did it beautifully, like it's fucking crazy.
Well, I couldn't tell you to this day what I said. We have everybody's speeches.
I couldn't tell you what you said. I
were
was fucking crying the
recorded,
entire time.
and I haven't watched it. But yeah, I mean, all I did was like, Dustin, when I tell you there was a moment in my life, and I remember sitting in the basement bedroom that I had. I remember saying to myself, I was like, you're gonna have to choose between a life where your family is with you at all times, like your family, or being happy. Like that was a very, like, I legitimately was in that position where I said, never ever try to be with a man and fight that feeling for the rest of your life and keep your mom and your dad, your brother, your grandma, your grandpa, everyone, and just not pursue these feelings you're having, or pursue the feelings you're having and not have a family. And
I don't know how
I
you
mean,
make that. I want to say like how do you make that decision? But like, you know, the decision is to be happy, but that's a conflict that
well, for a
I
while I
clearly
didn't.
don't understand. Like, because I could never go through that.
Yeah.
I never would. Like, I don't know how you made that realization in your mind, to how you had to separate that. And luckily, hopefully some of it's coming together, but you had to separate those choices
At a young
insane.
age, dude, too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, we're gonna be you're gonna be 30 next month. Like, I'm 30 now. We're still technically young. So to think about, I look at the kids now. Like, how old's Tanner?
He's 16. Yeah.
16, right? So this was I was coming to those. I was having those thoughts, and that's at like 11 and 12.
Yeah, those huge.
And to think about
yeah.
I can't. I don't know how I did it. I don't know like how I had the capacity to, like, part of it.
I don't
I
know how
had to
you did
grow
it
up
either, man.
fast. I had to grow up
Yeah.
fast because I had so many thoughts going through my head, and I thank God every day that, like, he gave me the brain that I have, and the compassion and the soul, like who I am as a person. Like, I'm so thankful that I am who I am, right? And like now I'm very proud of who I am, and I think,
As
you know,
should be.
we are all made up of the people that impact our life. And so, like, for the sake of like what we're talking about with this podcast too, is like, you guys and your reaction to me and your love and support of me is just as powerful in making me be able to stand up there in front of everybody on the best day of my life and say those words, because you guys helped me get to that point, right? Like, I'm not a superhero, I'm not like Superman, but like, if you look,
You kind of are.
right, we're rewatching Smallville right now because of this podcast.
Yeah.
So much of who Clark Kent was his parents, his friends, the town of Smallville where he grew up. And I'm the same way. That's why I identify so highly with that show, is that like my core group of people aren't just core group of people, right? The members of the LGBTQ community create a family for themselves in case they don't have their own family. And I can sit here and be lucky to say that most of my family is still my family. They didn't disown me. They didn't abandon me. They didn't, right? They worked through some stuff. We're not perfect. No family is. But where I am now, like, if young me got a snapshot of seeing where I was now, he'd be like, there's no way something catastrophic happened to get there. And it's not. Catastrophe had nothing to do with it. Hard work, unconditional love, and tough conversations got us here, right? And the unconditional love part is huge.
Yeah. So I do have a gripe with you, okay?
Great.
Here's a gripe.
can't-
We're
I
going to talk
can't
about
wait.
this on the podcast.
Good. I already know what it is.
No, you don't. You don't know anything. First of all, you don't know anything. I put the
Do you
cowboy hat on now.
do you want me to ask the question before you
Why
even
don't you
ask
ask
it?
Yeah, why don't you ask it? Go ahead.
Winston, why would you not make Dustin your best man?
I fucking hate you. I hate you. I hate you so much because I wrote it just like that. Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Now, I understand you got a burden, right? This burden. You got to pick the favorite people in your life. I've dreamed about picking my groomsmen. I don't give a fuck about who the bride is. I care about my groomsmen. I'm going to pick up my groomsmen. Okay.
Yep.
How did you come to that decision?
Okay.
Why was I not one? Because I do remember a couple conversations where I might have been the best man.
When you said that in Jake's episode, I went. I definitely remember conversations with us about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna. It's all happened.
Okay.
But I feel if we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Take the floor.
No, listen. You have every right to ask it, and I'm glad you did ask it.
You goddamn right to have every right to ask it. Okay.
Okay, I don't understand that energy, but I'll entertain it. So here's the thing. I knew beyond a shadow of my doubt who the guys in my party were, no matter what. Right?
You put me last too, which was I want to put that for the record.
Dustin,
too.
you're fucking 9 feet tall. Quit it. You have to go at the end. 9 feet tall. We're not doing that. But I will seriously answer your question when it comes to the best man thing. You are correct.
I'm not 9 feet tall. I'm not 9 feet tall.
How tall are you?
8 foot.
Okay. I'm over it. And your little stories and your microaggressions of I'm always in the fucking corner. Like
no.
All weekend they push me to the corner. Here I am again the day after the wedding. Quit. First and foremost, I would never push.
They did do that. When he put me in the corner, he's like, "Hey, fucking, this way, slide back."
What is the saying?
A little further.
Nobody puts baby in the corner. So if I put you in the corner, you're my baby, and I don't want to hear any more about that. But in terms of when it came down to assigning like the actual duties of like best man and everything like that, it wasn't.
You pick a straw. Do you have like a tally of who's better at this?
No, and if you want the God's honest truth, I
want the God's honest truth.
I prayed about it, which I don't do very often. I said, because I was scared. I was like, do I make it Dustin? Do I make it Jake? Do I decide to not have a best man at all because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings? And ultimately, because I knew Rachel was going to be my maid of honor no matter what, right? Rach has been a rock for me that just, it doesn't matter what comes and goes. Like she, just like you and I have had a conversation tonight.
Long term, like literally
literally
the definition of a day one.
Yep. And I've told her my soulmate. She is a soulmate of mine. And I like, I feel no shame about that. She is that to me, and I will love her till the day that I die. But the same thing, like that's what got complicated because I'm so fortunate that I feel that way about a lot of you. I made a hard choice when it came to, originally I was only going to do 3 or 4 people in my party, and that would have actually only been like a maid of honor, a best man, and like Cooper, right? And I didn't want to do that because like I have told you tonight, without the group I had next to me, minus a couple people who didn't get up there beside me, I wouldn't be here today. So then it came down to, I played the game. I said, is Dustin going to be offended if he doesn't get this? And I went,
is Dustin going to be a sourpuss motherfucker?
Right. And then I went,
he's clearly the most sensitive person in this group.
Right. But here's the thing. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. It is just something that like your best friends know, Dustin, that you're sensitive. And whether or not you love to hear that or not, we know you are. And we want to make sure that you're comfortable. It took me a while to
accept that. It took me a while to be like, yeah, I am. And then like people would joke about it. I'm like, you know what? I fucking am. Yeah, suck it, deal with it, like it or don't. Like I am.
Sensitivity is not a weakness. It is.
No.
And for you, Dustin, I think it's your strength. But when it came down to you or Jake, right?
I love how serious you're taking. I just love how you're like,
it's because it's serious to me.
When it came down to you or Jake, and I want him to hear this so clearly. Okay.
Who, you or Jake? Because you could both hear it. I don't give a goddamn.
God,
like,
I don't know.
You and I talked a couple times about the potential of you being a best man, and you want to know in that time of my life, Dustin, Jake and I were a little estranged. He knows it. I know it. We weren't talking a lot. Our senior year, there was a portion of time, and like Jake's not on this podcast, so I can't talk to him about it. I think we have talked about it, but there was a portion of time where we weren't super, super close, and we weren't getting along really well. But he still would have been in my party. And you're right. You and I were like in New York together and talking all the time. And I don't want you not being a best man to make you feel any less than. I just
No,
like
I really don't. I just
Jake
thought it would be funny.
Jake slept next to me for some of the hardest points of my life.
Yeah.
And talked me through some of it. And not that you didn't, you just didn't have that opportunity. Right?
No, for sure. My biggest issue, Winston, is the fact that you almost pushed me off the stage for where you placed me. Where literally, if I took one step, I would have fell off, and I wouldn't have been seen at all. So my biggest gripe is I had to be at the end, and then like, oh, Dustin's dead now, but that's fine.
I can't stand you.
I don't know.
Do you want to
I am
know,
very happy,
actually,
and it all makes
one of the things that was discussed was whether or not we were going to ask you to get ordained and marry us. But then we were like, we probably
let
should.
me fucking tell you.
I said we probably need to make sure that there's some sort of professionalism in writing down the documentation.
Okay, very clear. I would have, that probably. I was so good at being like not drinking too much during that entire thing. That would have been the best speech you'd ever heard in your life. Just to be clear.
Well,
now,
for the listeners,
again,
I did read your speech, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've read in my life.
Yeah. Well, you did?
And nothing.
I actually don't remember that.
You sent it to me.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Winston.
So,
you know what's funny?
When you were sitting there bitching about it on Jake's episode,
I forgot that I
and
actually wrote it and sent it to you. I thought I didn't send it to you.
Yeah, I've read it, and it was beautiful.
You have
made me
it?
cry. On me, I mean, I'd have to go back in our messages, but I'm
because I don't have it. Yeah, I was literally thinking about that when I was preparing the episode today. I was like, I'm gonna read his fucking best man speech.
I'm pretty sure it was at least one phone ago, but I think iMessage saved some stuff, so I'll go back and I'll look through it.
It's all good.
If I find it, I'll send it to you. But yeah, I read it, and it was again one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. And I believe in that speech you mentioned the whole me being a part of like changing your mindset and all that, and like it was absolutely gorgeous. It really was.
Fuck Jake.
Okay, Jake had a good speech, and Jake was
everything
I needed him to be.
We all knew that was what you were gonna say.
But to be fair to everyone listening, nobody else wrote me a song, so Dustin does get some big time brownie points for that.
It was such a bad song. It's so stupid. No, again, it's all jokes. It was just like I just always found it because like I always joke about like what's your dream, Dustin? I'm like, I just want to be a best man. I just want to be a best man.
So here's my question for you then.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that while maybe on the day you weren't my best man, you are one of my best men?
Yeah,
like you are one of the best men I've ever met.
I'm just a difficult asshole.
Oh, you are? Hold on, Mom, I got him. He admitted it. Did you get that?
Yeah.
I recorded it. Okay, good.
I think I don't know what I think. My head used to be really weird about all that shit for some reason, but yeah, because like I remember being like, well, how do I choose a best man if I ever do get married? I'm like, how do I choose that? It's a weird thing, right? So I think this is me being a difficult asshole.
Your heart, in your heart, and like the biggest thing is like it's a position, right? And let's not get this fucked up. Jake was an incredible best man, like. But here's the thing.
But I would have been better.
I'm not gonna
just say it out loud.
You're an idiot.
Just say it out loud. Just say it out loud.
What I'm going to say out loud, and unfortunately I know that you can cut this out all you want, I don't give a shit, is that Jake was an incredible best man, and I had an incredible group of best men in my group. Right?
Oh, that's so cute.
And if we allowed all of you to give a speech, it would have gone all night. I would have loved to have heard him. I would have loved to have heard him.
Yeah, no one needs that though. Because I remember going to a wedding where they went and everyone got a speech. I'm like, all right, dude, fucking stop.
Yeah, like
We don't
quit
need
it.
another-
Yeah.
We don't
Also,
need another one.
God love you, Scott Shoemaker. You were not getting up there to make a speech in that fucking day. You were fucking drunk.
Too
But
fucked up to move.
the biggest thing is like, Dustin, you rose to the occasion anyways, right? Like Jake and Rachel were my maid of honor, my best man, but you still did heavy lifting, right? Like it,
Oh yeah.
title or no title, I knew you'd be there, and that's what matters. And I hope
Yeah,
you
that's
know
all that
that.
matters.
I hope you know that.
I do know that. I
Okay.
just being a difficult asshole.
Okay.
No, your wedding was fucking beautiful. Did I have a good best man speech? Yes.
Yes, it was beautiful. I can
It would have
confirm.
been.
I can confirm.
It's time for rapid shots.
Yep. Rapid shots with my boy Wynny. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, Wynny. Favorite superhero?
Superman.
Superman. Okay.
Or are you
Top
asking?
cel-
Am I guessing yours, or is it about me?
No. It's all about you. Who
Okay.
gives a fuck about me?
Superman.
Yep. Superman. Why?
Kind of like I spoke on Smallville earlier. He truly is just trying to do what's best. He is a culmination. Wow. I must be getting a little drunk because I just butchered that word. He's an alien from another planet, but he is an amalgamation of everything he was exposed to. His parents being good people, his friends being good people. The way he was raised, he still turned out good, where he could have turned out bad and he didn't.
All right,
pretty
Winston.
cool.
No one knows those big words like amalgamation on this podcast. Okay, just to be clear.
That's
Okay?
fine.
No one knows them. Okay.
All right.
All right.
All
Top
the little
cel-
pieces that put him together.
There you go. That's all you
You're
need to
welcome.
say. Okay.
Okay.
Winnie. Top celebrity crush.
Oh, right now I have a crush on the guy from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. What is his name? Not the guy who plays Harvey. Sabrina. What is his name?
Like the old school Sabrina Teenage
No.
Witch?
Netflix. So it's.
Oh, okay.
I think his name's Gavin. I think his name's Gavin Leatherwood. I just think he's ungodly attractive.
That's cheating on your husband. Okay. Next question.
Not this. Dustin, you asked me a question. Bo's not a celebrity. I can't say that. Gavin Leatherwood
saying,
happens to be
cheating is cheating. Okay? That's all I gotta say.
Right.
That's all.
All right. Lock me up. Stupid ass.
All right.
Stupid ass.
What is your go-to feel good artist to listen to just to like play to make yourself feel good?
Right now it's AJR. I love AJR so much.
AJR? I actually don't know who that is at all.
Yeah, so they're three Jewish brothers from New York. Actually, we went to their concert. You would know. I know you know their music if you heard them.
Maybe. Okay.
But right now they're my go-to. I mean, Taylor Swift just released that new album, so like I feel like that's an unfair advantage to every artist. But yeah.
First impression of Dusty.
Idiot, absolute buffoon. Very attractive, but an absolute airhead.
This is a dumbass.
And guess what? In the year of our Lord 2022, same opinion.
Same opinion. Same thing. Okay. All right. Best fast food restaurant.
Runza, Raising Cane's would be second. The tie.
See, I would go with Runza too.
Yeah,
but only
that's what we just
Nebraska
ate before
people know
this.
what the fuck Runza.
I know
is.
that's why I was like, Runza.
No one else knows. It's the
secondary.
best.
Yeah,
Can you describe a Runza, Winnie, for everybody on the podcast?
like a Runza in terms of like the sandwich?
What is a Runza? Like, what is it?
Okay, well, that's why I feel like my answer is a cop out because I don't eat the Runzas at Runza because it's like a cabbage and like hamburger meat, like sandwich baked in like a roll. And it's got cabbage, it's got meat, it's got cheese if you get a cheese Runza. And they're good. I wouldn't say that
you don't get that. You don't get that when you go to Runza.
Hell no. I get chicken strips. You know me, Dustin.
Oh, you basic bitch. You basic bitch.
I am a slut for their ranch dressing, and I always have been, and I always will be. You get the ranch dressing on the side of whatever you get at Runza, but mine specifically chicken strips, and their onion rings are fire.
The onion rings are fire. Okay, I'll give you that, bro.
So good.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Describe your husband, Bo, in one word.
Home.
Home?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give a quick elaboration on home?
Yep. If I am anywhere in the world and Bo's at my side, I feel like I'm at home.
Oh, that's so fucking cute. Oh, God, I hate
Now, is that home always clean? Is it always bathed? Is it always clean shaven? Is it always organized? No, it is not, but it is my home. And I will forever be grateful for that.
Don't you put him on blast like that, Wynny. Don't you put him on blast like that.
I thought it was rapid fire. I was taking
That
shots.
was on fire. Bang, 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 bang. All right,
Bang, bang.
number 7. One bucket list item you want to do before it's all over.
I would like to visit every Disney theme park on the world, in the globe.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Why? Can I ask why? Is there a difference?
Yeah, so
I don't know if there's a.
There are slight differences. I also think that in making that a bucket list for myself, it allows me to travel the country or travel the globe as well. Like
Okay.
I haven't been to Europe, I haven't been to Asia or anything like that. I've only been out of the country to like the Bahamas on like a cruise. But I feel like if I said I'm going overseas, but I'm going overseas to a Disney park, like people go, yeah, that
Okay.
tracks. He's a Disney nerd. But it would let me travel, but it would also like keep my love for Disney there too. So my
Okay.
intention, both of Bo and I's intention is to get to every park before we die. So
What is the first thing you put on when you're getting dressed in the morning?
well, I usually sleep with an oversized t-shirt and underwear. So the first thing I probably put on is probably a pair of pants. I think I put whatever pair of pants I'm gonna wear on first. Sometimes if
Okay.
it's frigid, I have to put socks on first because I'm a little bitch and my toesies get cold. But
See, I wear from like bottom down. Like socks go on first, then the
Okay.
pants, then the undershirt, or like the underwear, then the pants, the undershirt, the shirt. Like I it's a whole building process.
okay, that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense to me. So I shower at night before I go to bed because I don't like going to bed sweaty with like the
Okay.
day on me. So I don't need to shower first thing in the morning.
The day just laying on you.
Can't my OCD
Can't
like
do
my
it. Can't do it.
mental illness sits there and thinks about all the things that I came in contact with and went, no. So I'm already bathed, so putting on pants is usually the first thing I do.
Okay. All right. Who
Yeah.
wins in a fight? T-Rex or King Kong?
King Kong.
King Kong.
The
think
T-Rex
it's
are
pretty easy,
extinct, little bitches.
They got hands. They got hands. Winnie, they got hands.
No, they're also
All
extinct.
right. Okay. Final one for rapid shots.
'Kay.
Describe our friendship in one word.
Loyalty, I think, is the number one that comes to me.
Yeah, that's good. All right, that's rapid shots.
Yeah. The next one that would
Okay.
come to mind is true love, but I don't know if that's too gay.
It is too gay.
Okay.
And you did that.
All right. So shots to drinks on Dusty, to memories
Okay.
and good times.
Bet.
Could feel that in my nose. Jesus.
Yeah, I felt that.
Whew. All right. Whew.
I will say this. I'm not that good at shots.
I know,
At
but
all.
you could fucking chug a beer like a champ, and I appreciate that about you.
Just a beer. Okay. Woo!
Oh,
I said that in a little bit. It's sitting in the back of my throat. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you.
oh my
Oh
god.
fuck. I fight back. I'm a soldier. It's fine.
Happy Veterans Day.
Hey. Shout out to the mentions. I think it's back there. You know what? I'm not tough enough. Sorry, buddy. We're back.
You gotta throw up.
Shut up.
He'll edit this out, but Dustin's actively throwing up. Or made him take a shot. I don't even know what he took a shot of. I think he said it was whiskey, but he threw up.
All right, you win. You win drinks on Dusty.
Oh shit! Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
It was just, it's not like a sick thing. It's the fact of, I'm like, oh shit, I fucked up. That's too much.
What did you take a shot of?
Jameson, and I hate Jameson.
Okay. I was like, because I went, I didn't mean to make him throw up, but
No. It's literally the fact of I don't like that, and then it was like that was all right. That's the
I guess I should have
You're
put
good.
it in. I should have put it in my Google Doc that I was gonna make you take a shot. That's on me.
Yeah, no, it's on me because I'm unprofessional, I guess, but I'm
Are you
still
all
here
right?
though.
Are you gonna be okay? Are you
No,
gonna be
yeah, I'm
okay?
fine. I
Because
just was like, no,
we're both definitely
because it wasn't like a thing where like, oh, I'm too fucked up. It was like, oh, that nope, don't like that at all. That's all it was. It was like, get that devil bullshit out of my fucking body right now.
that's all right.
It
Listen,
just triggers that.
that's,
I apologize. So don't hate on the podcast because you are the first podcast I've ever thrown up on. So that's fun. So you have that.
yes. All
You
right.
have
Well,
that.
you
You
better
have
make
that going
sure
for
they
you, okay?
know, bro. Okay.
So you hit it. You hit it. I apologize for being the worst host in the world.
I would like to take
um,
this time to thank the
yeah,
Academy.
accept your word.
I hit Dustin's gag reflex. About time.
You did. Dig too big. Okay. All right.
You're an idiot.
So
can't.
I want to get into our mannerism section. So we've introduced this when Jake was on. It's about some of my closest friends understanding my mannerisms, some things that I do, some things I say, some things that I act with, where they can call me out and be like, this is something that you do. Okay. And I'm gonna do the same thing. We're gonna call it the ism segment.
Okay.
And I'm gonna call out Wynnyisms, and Wynny's gonna call out Dustyisms.
Perfect.
Winston, do you want me to go first, or do you want you to yourself to go first?
Should we just play the game of like you go, I go, you go, I go, you go, I go?
Oh, go back and forth? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take it. You tell me, you want me to go first? You go.
I'll go first because this first one's
Okay.
not necessarily a Dustyism. It's more of a Dusty does, which is okay.
A Dusty what?
Dusty does.
Okay.
So
all right, Dusty does. All
when
right.
I think of my good buddy Dustin, if I were to walk into you in your natural habitat, where you're just taking care of business and just doing your own thing, this is what I expect. Are you ready? I'm gonna walk in that door. You're gonna be laying on your bed. You're gonna be laid out. You're gonna have one foot up, crossed over the other. You got one hand picking at your toes. You got something on, just messing with your toes. I don't know why. You do it, not me. But you're messing with your toes. Other hand in your pants. You're looking at something on your computer, and you got something on your TV. You got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I walk in, and I mean, Dustin, you're just like that, and you got your headphones on. I don't know what you're listening to. Is it on the TV? Is it? Yeah.
Okay.
And you're just like, and you look up, and you're like, and I don't know what to ask you to pause because I truly don't know what's going on. But legitimately, I said that to Jake the other day. I said, Jake, when I picture Dustin, he's got his legs crossed, laying down. Don't know why he does it, but he does. He's got one hand maybe over his head like this, over his headphones.
Might be playing a video game.
Might be playing Madden. I don't really know.
Might have Breaking Bad on in the background.
On your laptop. That's probably what you're doing. Laid out, just doing your thing.
I don't know. I don't even know what exactly that is. I don't know. It's the thing of I always feel like I have to have this or that, because it's still a thing I do to this day where I'll play a video game, but I'll have a TV show in the background.
No, which is not a problem. I know.
But no, it's like me. I'm like, I gotta need this. I got this. I got this. I got this. I got options. I'm all about options. I want options.
All the options.
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. That's good, Wynny.
Listen,
that's good, Wynny.
Listen,
that's good.
When I think of you in your natural habitat, that's what I think about. Because lately I've been thinking about you a lot because I did not start Pod Meets World at the same time all of you did when it came out. So when I got COVID, after I was in the hospital and I got COVID, I started playing this video game called Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is just like Animal Crossing, but for fucking Disney things. Nerdy. Okay. Didn't ask for that.
Nerdy.
But I'll sit there playing the game, listening to Pod Meets World at the same time. And I think, all right, this is a very Dustin thing to do. So all right. There's that.
I'll take that. All right, I'll give you mine. All right. So we're going to go back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how I wrote this very weird. So bear with me. All right.
Okay.
The look away that you do when someone says something uncomfortable or weird, but you do a quick look towards that person and you look for the reaction and you do a thing where if someone says something funny, uncomfortable, whatever it is, and you do whoever the most trusted person to you in the room is, and you do a and you look at them to see, like, you make the eye contact of, you heard that too, right?
It's
And
very Jim from The Office. You're right.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it definitely is. You're like, did that motherfucker just say he doesn't like carrots? And then you're just like, what? It's like before you, but yeah,
Oh
before
my
you
God.
laugh or anything, you make that connection to be like, that was fucking dumb or wild as shit, right? So that was my number one. That was my
Oh my
number one
God, dude.
Winnieism.
That's true though. I do. I like almost have to have confirmation, like Jim from The Office. I'm like,
Yeah. Did that just happen? Did that really just happen right
yeah,
there?
I have to make sure that I'm in that moment and I haven't absolutely had some sort of mental break. That's so funny though, because I do that all the time. That's so funny.
All right, I got, yeah, see, all right.
Carrots? Why would someone not like carrots?
I don't know. Maybe someone does. I don't know. Fucking people don't like
All right.
carrots. I don't know.
All right.
They're not the best thing in the world.
I'll go to the cliche one next because like
Okay.
obviously I think Jake called it out. I don't know if the other guy did because I told you I still gotta listen to that episode. Regardless, here it is. Here it is.
You're gonna act it out? All right. My
Your version of the Stone Cold Steve Austin kills me.
no, that's the Ric Flair.
Oh, Ric Flair.
So
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's a professional wrestling thing.
That's
that,
right.
Like, I just started integrating into our group because I knew none of you watched professional wrestling.
Your bitch ass would walk in and do that shit
Do
all
a bunch of dumbass
the time.
like hand movements. Woo!
Woo!
What are you doing? Okay, that's pretty good. All right, that's a good one. Okay, you ready for this one?
Yeah.
So one of my Winnieisms is, I think sometimes you'll go, well, I mean, that's what I mean. And then you'll keep going. So you'll do a thing where you'll say, someone will say something and you'll be like, yeah, and that's what I mean. And then you'll go into a more logical explanation of what they're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my Winnie. It's pretty simple. It's not hard.
Absolutely. I absolutely do.
And it's like, but it's something like, I've even noticed you doing this on the podcast because I don't say things as logical as you do, or like intelligent or whatever. And you'll say something and you're like, well, I mean, like, yeah, and then you'll say it better. I'm like, yeah, that's probably a better way to say that.
Oh God, that's so fucked up of me. That's so... Hi, my toxic trait is that I autocorrect everyone.
No, I don't think you autocorrect. I don't mean it negatively. I just always find it funny. I was like, I mean, like, yeah, and you connect with it and you talk about it.
That is so funny. I do. Yes, I definitely do. Okay, so my next Dustyism. Are you ready? I can't do it because I will definitely unplug my mic. I can't do the full body thing, but it is lay my body weight on Winston and go, all right, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Okay. The amount of I need you to know the amount of videos that I've saved on Snapchat of you and I, of you going, listen, let me tell you something, Winston. I mean, you just the head nod, the fake Tony Soprano accent that you throw in.
The fake is the key word there. The fake Tony Soprano
kills me every time. And I think that it's made better by the fact that you throw your weight onto me. I don't know when you started that, by the way, because
all body, just like right onto you,
just like just full body. Let me tell you something, and I'm just, and then like you add that to it, which I think is the best part, because that it's giving that.
That just speaks how comfortable I am with you. Where I'm like, no, fuck it, let me tell you, I don't even know what you're doing. Oh yeah, okay.
In your little Google Doc that you send to your guests before they come on, you even put that into your words. You put your
the way I type it in
into the way you type it, and it's breathtaking.
That's
it lets
good.
us know exactly what we're getting into.
You're like, we know what we're walking into, okay?
Yep.
All right. Number 3.
Okay.
This is a compliment. You are everyone's friend. And everyone says that they're your friend, and you are everyone's friend. Okay. Everybody wants to be friends with you.
Okay.
I think you're one of those people that like everybody, it's literally like, yeah, I'm friends with Winston. I'm friends with Winston. and you are that likable person that everybody is. And I was like, yeah, I know Winston. I'm like, but you don't know Winston. Like, I know Winston, but everybody seems to be that person.
Something about Winston.
Let me tell you something about Winston. I'm all like jealous about it, but like you always are that person that's just everyone is like, yeah, I love Winston. He's the best. Is what I kind of mean by that.
Well, that's very sweet. Thank you. I do try to be everybody's friend because I feel like everyone needs a friend, but there's definitely some people, and this just shows that the booze is hitting. There are definitely some people that I make the joke all the time. I'm not technically in theater anymore, but I pretend that I love my job. And I mean that in the way of like, I use my theater degree to act like everything's fine when it's not really fine. I love to be friends with people. I love when people know me. So that Winstonism is very accurate. I try to be friends with everyone. So
I love that about you.
That's a good one.
Because everyone wants to be friends. It's also the fact that everyone wants to be friends with you.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's cool. Someone used that in my past. Someone used that as like a dig at me. Like,
yeah,
you know what? Like, it was great being your friend, but honestly, it also hurt me because I was your friend. And like, it was the wildest backhanded compliment. Like,
yeah,
I really didn't have an identity because I was your friend more than anything. And I was just like, I'm sorry, I think. I don't know how to respond to that. Now, obviously, we're fine, but like,
that's probably a little more lack
yeah,
of
I mean, we're older
in the
now, so it's not a big deal.
yeah.
But yeah, it was wild.
I think people like to be your friend, Wynny.
Well, that's awesome. One of my last Dusty assumptions. You're gonna fucking kill me, and I'm okay with it.
That's all right.
So, Dustin, do you remember the time in college where you and I were going to church together?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Was this have to do with Dan?
Nope, it's just the time. It's just you.
No, I remember. I just remembered a story at the top of my head. Okay, all right, continue.
Hold on, what story are you talking about? Because I'm telling a very different story, but I want to hear what you're talking about.
My story is one time me, you, and your boyfriend at the time went into a Catholic church, and then we went to the ceremony, and then when we left,
it's called
and we
Mass.
had to go to a matinee show that Sunday that we were all cast in, and we got into the car, and it was just like kind of quiet for a second. I go, y'all know you're sitting right now, right?
You're a fucker, and I do remember that.
And you all were like, what the I was like, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
Trash. You are trash, bro. I got you to stop saying the F word, but you still told me I was sitting. God damn.
Okay, well, I have two more.
Go for it.
All right. 4 is you were a like whore.
Mm-hmm.
You will like every post ever.
I knew you were gonna bring that up.
I am gonna bring it up. Okay.
You literally will never not give me shit about this.
No, I will never not give you shit about that.
Okay.
You'll like everything. You will tell me, yeah, I don't like that person. I'm like, why'd you like their status? I'm like, ugh. And that might be you being a better person than I am, and I've accepted that. But I'm like, if I don't like somebody, I don't like their status. You could tell me you don't like somebody and you'll like their status, whatever. Like, I'm gonna give them that satisfaction. You will be like, yeah, I'll like it. I'm like, why'd you like that status then? Don't let them know that you care. But you were like, nah, I like it. Click, heart, whatever. And it's wild to me. It's wild to me because I just don't. I'm like, I don't like you. I'm not gonna like that status. You were like, I don't give a fuck, dude. I don't care.
You're not.
And I love that about you, but I also hate that about you.
I hate it about me too. I literally will be like, fuck this bitch, double tap.
There'll be a thing where we'll talk about something like you'll be like, yeah, I don't like that person. And I see you like that status. I'm like, bitch, what are you fucking doing? Don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like the status if you don't like them.
You're not required. And I'm like,
you're not required to like it. Like
but I
fine.
follow
them.
Have to. I have to.
You don't, though, Wynny. You don't.
Dustin, that's so funny. I'll never forget the first time you said that to me either. You were sitting there watching me, and I was like scrolling. I was just like, double tap, double tap, double tap.
Like,
and you were like, do you ever not like something? God.
Why you like? Do you actually like
Winston,
them?
you hate that person. Why did you double tap? I don't know, Dustin. I follow them, and it's respect.
Fuck that respect. Don't like those statuses, okay?
So
Fuck those statuses.
every once in a while when excuse me, I just burped. Every once in a while when I'm scrolling through Instagram and I like skip liking one for some reason, I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna like that. Dustin will be proud.
Good. You should, because I don't know why. Like, there's literally, I'll take a time and be like, I'm not gonna like that. Fuck you. And I won't like that.
If you ever, I just want you to know, if I post something you never like it, I will text you. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. I'll be like, Dustin, you didn't.
Anytime I see
like
your
that.
stupid ass face on my fucking thing, I'm like, all right. I don't have to read it. I'm like. Talk about you. Talk about fucking. Sometimes I might not like it. Just be like, that was dumb. But most of the time, I like it.
I will find you and I'll kill you. Don't do that.
I don't know. The fifth Wynnyism to me is that you are always, without fail, the dad of the group. You're like, it's literally like almost like you can't even shake it. You're out. You're like, but he's gonna take care of us. And it might just be a me and Jake thing because we're drunken degenerates and we're just like, yeah, he'll take care of us. But for me, it's always been like Wynston is usually like the dad, the sole follower of the group. Where like he's gonna make sure we're not dead at the end of this night. And you have, for some reason, had to bear this burden of taking care of degenerate morons.
Making sure
you're always
stay
the
alive.
dad of the group all the time.
Don't worry, I will be sending your mother and Jacob's mother a bill for my services.
As you should, because the amount of times like, I don't know how that worked out. Probably because Winston made sure I got home safe. That's probably how that worked.
I don't know when like why I do that either. It's just like that's my natural
I think you have
instinct.
a strong fucking it's a dad nature. Like you just feel like I'm gonna take care of that person.
Yeah.
Because I have that, but I don't like when we're with friends, it's a different thing. Like with friends, I'm like, fuck you, dude. I'm gonna get fucked up and figure it out. You still will go, let me take care of everyone there. You know?
Yeah. I think that's a strength. I think it's a compliment. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, it is
it's
a good one. Because you're literally like the line of the pride where you're just like, all right, I got you. All right, moron, come over here.
I suppose. Okay, so I have one more. You can cut it from the podcast, so it's probably good that I put it at the back of this. One of my favorite things that you do, and it used to fuck me up mentally. I was like, I don't know how to take this. Is when you will just grab Bo or I by the face and just plant a big fucking kiss on our mouth. We're like, I will never in my life, Dustin, forget the first time you kissed me on the mouth. We were sitting not at a bear pit party where I was just like, you all know someday you're all gonna kiss me, right? Because I was just a fucking stupid kid. But that one day, do you remember the time I'm talking about? I was having a panic attack in my room and you just grabbed me by the face and you just gave me a kiss and then you walked out. I remember my headspace goes, he's sad. I'm a good kisser. I'll kiss him and he'll feel better. Here's the thing.
A piece of shit.
Not only was that the correct thought, because I was having a goddamn panic spiral. You grabbed me by the face, you kissed me on the lips, and you walked out. And I have taken all of you boys, you, Jake, Scott, Adam, all my guy friends, and I put you in a box and I put you up on the top shelf and I went, do not find them attractive. Do not come on to them. Do not try to make they are your straight friends. Leave them be. You kissed me on the mouth and you took that box, you set it on fire, you threw it out a moving car window, and I had to process how I felt about it. So thanks for that. And then throughout our friendship, you've never been afraid to just give me a good old kiss, which is great. I love it.
Literally have never cared. I remember one story where, I mean, I'm not going to be good on this, but I remember someone said something to you and I was so annoyed. I was like, I'll fucking kiss fuck off. I was so annoyed with the fact they were making some comments of this person's not, they were making fun of people being gay. And I was so fucking annoyed. I was like, I'll make out with Winston. What the fuck are you going to do now? And I was just fucking annoyed. I was like, I will still whoop your ass and I'll still make out with a dude and not give a shit and
Right.
whoop your ass in front of everybody. Like, I was so always mad about that. And
Do you remember, this piggybacks off what you just said. Do you remember how if I was ever drunk or I ever came into Zate and you were there, I was like, Dustin, they don't like my gay ass here.
yeah, you would do that all the time.
Here. And you were like, you were just like, Winston, shut the fuck up. They all know you're gay. They don't care.
Want me here. They don't want me to be here.
Most specifically, I remember coming with Rachel. Rachel, I think, was dating a guy in Zate at the time. I don't remember. But I came and I was dressed as Superman, and I came to Zate. I was like, Dustin, do you think they know I'm gay? And you're like, Winston, they're my friends. They know you're gay. It's fine. And I was like, but if they don't, I don't want them to beat me up. And you're like, they're not going to beat you up. Would you just quit? I only went into Zate like 3 times in my entire life, and every time I was worried I was gonna get fucking like beat to shit.
I would never let anybody do that to you ever. There's no shot. No shot.
I remember that a lot, and I think I probably did it with Adam a couple times, but Adam moved out of the Zate for senior year, so but I was always just like, I can't be here. They'll know that I am gay.
Okay, so Wynny, thank you
Yeah.
so much for being on the podcast. It has been my absolute pleasure, honor to have one of my best friends here. Thank you so much for being on. Is there anything you want us to follow you on? Anything us to look you up on?
I forgot you asked this, but yes. Sure. My Instagram is Wynston _Nowak. So it's WYNSTON _Nowak NOWAK. The Y is important because my grandfather did not want me named after a pack of cigarettes. So you can follow me on Instagram there. I'm on Facebook. Same thing. It's just Wynston Nowak. Twitter's falling to all absolute hell. But if you ever want to follow me on that, Elon Musk's absolute garbage pail that is Twitter, it's Wynston Nowak, one word, WYNSTON NOWAK. I currently think that I'm rocking all of, let's see, doesn't it tell you how many tweets you have? No, it doesn't. So this is awkward. But I have a lot of tweets. I've been on Twitter.
You got right, you do.
5 days ago, I got my hi. You've been on Twitter for 14 years. Is that a thing?
Shit.
I retweeted it. 14 years? That is a child about ready to get a fucking driver's license. Regardless, I'm on Twitter. They're all bad. They're hot takes. They're bad retweets. It's going to hell in a handbasket, but you can follow me on that. I'm on TikTok. I watch a lot of TikTok. I don't post a lot of TikToks. I think I have 2 videos. I also think it's Wynston Nowak. I don't know. I'm 30, for God's sakes, you guys. I don't know what my username is. It's all one word, Wynston Nowak.
Yeah.
I would. Those are the things that you can follow me on. I won't add you on Snapchat, so please don't. I guess you could add me on Be Real. I love Be Real.
Okay.
That's what you do, right? You just like spout out a bunch of shit.
I don't know what Be Real is, to be honest with you. So
Dustin, okay, we'll talk about it afterwards. But I would say the biggest thing, I have 3 things to leave you with. 1, be somebody's safe, be someone's safe space. It's super important. Second, the world's full of a lot of bullshit. Be that positive vibe somebody needs that day. So pay it forward if that's the way you need to do it, or just understand that the world is bigger than you. So just, even if it's hard, spread that positive last vibe you got left. And 3, happy early birthday to Dustin, because this is going to probably post not too long before his 30th. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
You're the best, Wynny. Winston is a incredibly passionate and amazing person. So please follow him. He is the best. He's one of my people. He's one of the greatest people I know in my life, right? So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Wynston, Wynny, for being on the show. It means the fucking world to me. And like, subscribe, share. Podcast is doing pretty well. Thank you so much for listening, and love everybody.
Yeah.
Right? I'm drunk a little bit, but love everybody. We're good.
Let's go.
Next episode will be the birthday episode, being interviewed. So be ready for that nonsense.
Can't wait.
Shout out, Wynny. Love you.
Love you too. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.